A night in with MauLer and the drinker, getting trashed with the web screen dinkers. A cheap night cause I'm feeling kinda thrifty, got a 10-pack of beers and a bottle of whiskey. Hop off the cork, have a glass of wine, that's they'll say I'll be fine. Trouble walking in a straight line, but pour me a Pinot Noir. It's open bar with our hosts, MauLer and the critical drinker.
Oh, hi there, everybody. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome back to Open Bar 130. We're here. I'm here. MauLer's here. Got the critical doggo there somewhere. Wait, that's probably easier if I move that way.
Yeah.
Lara, are you alive? Nah, probably dead. Anyway, it's hard to tell the difference with greyhounds, but she is there supervising proceedings. So there we go. Yeah,
everything goes as planned.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Strategizing. Anyway, yeah, how are you doing tonight? Are you fired up, ready for another open bar?
It's that time of year where Marvel poop.
Yep.
Simple as that.
The poopage has definitely started, and we're going to talk about that tonight for sure. But yeah, first up, I guess, as we often do, we will give you a little rundown on the year of our Lord 1930, in this case, for Open Bar 130. We're starting a new decade today, so that's exciting. Also, we weren't late and gay. We were just like bang on time, more or less. Within
Slightly
the space
late isn't late.
There's a tolerance for these kinds of things, okay? You know, it's not an exact science. The bar starts when it's ready. Anyway, well, I did some research here on the year of our Lord 1930. Stuff happened that year, actually. The very first FIFA World Cup took place. I actually thought it would have been older than that, but there you go. First one was in 1930, and it ended with Uruguay winning 4-2 against Argentina. So, yeah, it was very much a South America-dominated final. Pluto was discovered as a planet, and
took a while, I guess.
It remained a planet for a long time until some assholes downgraded it and made it into like a dwarf planet. It's not important enough now.
So rude.
Yeah. Don't worry, Pluto. I still love you.
We love our short kings.
Yeah. Clarence Birdseye started selling his very first frozen food in Springfield, Massachusetts, and he's been shoveling up frozen crap ever since. So almost a century of it now, which is impressive. Yeah, this is kind of interesting, actually. The Hays Code for motion pictures was instituted by the studios, all major studios in the United States, which imposed strict guidelines on the treatment of sex, crime, religion, and violence in films that lasted for the next 40 years. Which is, it gave rise to a very stodgy, censored period of filmmaking because they didn't want to get that sexy stuff getting out of hand. MauLer.
It's such a shame.
I think, did it not inadvertently give rise to the new wave in Hollywood that's gradually began to rebel against it? It kind of started as almost like an underground movement as a rebellion against the Hays Code, and eventually they became mainstream and the code was abolished, and that is why you got the big genre movies of the 60s and 70s as a backlash to that.
I think so, yeah. That's how the story typically goes with it's almost like the Hays Code.
No, it's interesting stuff. Also, what else did we have here? The first ever big budget blockbuster movie, Hell's Angels, made by Howard Hughes, of all people. It had its premiere in 1930, and it was a bit of a flop, apparently, when it came out. Didn't recoup its money, but it was well regarded by critics, and it launched Jean Harlow as one of the big stars of the 1930s. And she was quite hot, actually, because I looked up pictures of her, and good on you. Nice one, Howard. He had the right eye for the ladies. I also saw the very first feature film with John Wayne in a starring role. 1930, his career really kicked off, and it was called The Big Trail. It was also kind of a big budget for the time. $2 million it cost. $2 million, MauLer. Can you imagine it?
Yeah, I mean, they used to do a lot back then. Everything was just smaller and better. I
mean, I think 2 million in today's money, it's probably more like 30 million or something. So
3 trillion.
Yeah. But, well, there you go. Anyway, that was stuff that happened in 1930. But that's enough of that. It's time to talk about now. So how about we bring some people
have
in?
to. All
Yeah,
right,
we can
do that part. We don't have to talk about Marvel though. We can talk about other things.
I'll talk. Look, you know what? I'll save it for
What about G20?
I'll save it for second or third, okay? And then we can build up to it. How's that sound? All
okay.
right. Let's see. Yeah, because there's actually talk of it here. Anyway, let's bring in our guest panel. We have got George the Giant Slayer, Fringy, Film Comics Explained, and Chris Gore. Welcome, my friends. How are you?
Hello.
Hey, doing good, man.
Sorry, you caught me drinking there. Anyway, nice to see you guys again. Well, here we are. I'm going to just launch right into it. MauLer is not quite ready to talk about Captain America 4.
Just
yet.
do
We'll build up to it.
whatever you want.
I'll give you something easy to talk about first, right? Because it did make me chuckle. So apparently, Disney, possibly the most progressive company in Hollywood, they are abandoning one of their major DEI programs. The Reimagine Tomorrow program is officially cancelled by them, and they are walking back a lot of the stuff that they've tried to institute with it, which kind of is an interesting sign of the times changing, particularly for a company like Disney. I wouldn't have expected this, but I think it's a kind of a recognition that the culture around them has kind of shifted and people are not up for that sort of thing. I don't know if they're worried as well about getting sued on this. I think various companies had actually taken discrimination lawsuits against them for that very basis. But it is gone now. I don't think many people are going to be shedding a tear over the loss of it, to be honest with you.
No, but I'm worried about the fact that is it really going to be gone, or is it the fact that they're just pulling it back for a little while so they can rebrand it? Because you've had over the last 7 days, you've had anchors from ABC, NBC, MSNBC, and CNN stating like, diversity is one thing that helped kill the election for us, in not only for politics but in Hollywood. So they're like, we have to come up with new terms in order to continue the same programs. And they're like, start looking out for patriotic pluralism. That's the new expression.
Yeah.
Diversity, equity, and equality.
That was
like,
Chris Hayes. Chris Hayes said that on Bill
Chris
Maher.
Hayes.
It was such bullshit.
I know.
Such bullshit.
Patriotic
Yeah, it sounds like it.
pluralism, or they're like populist pluralism.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it kind of echoes what I think it was Kevin Feige said when he was confronted by a lot of this stuff within the MCU, and he said that it was like this admission of we tried to push this messaging too overtly and too loud. We need to find ways to be more subtle about it. And it's like, okay, you're just doing the same thing that you did before. You're just going to like bury it just a little bit deeper and not make it quite so overt, but you haven't changed your outlook. And yeah, it's interesting. Maybe that is what they're going to end up doing here. I don't know. I mean, it's always going to be reflected in the movies at the end of the day. Whatever their policies might be behind the scenes, you're going to know what you see on screen in terms of their great input.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it. I mean, I haven't seen Captain Checkbox, but and I know we're not talking about it yet, but just the 90-pound girl in it, like we were saying backstage, that kind of like tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
But Disney is the same thing. I mean, are they really going to change, or is it just going to be kind of like a makeover for a little bit? Like, let's just hold out for the next 4 years. I hope it's done.
Unless they doge Disney, it's not going to change. The culture is the people there, and a lot of people there are very loud and very activist. I don't see it changing. Like you said, George, I see it rebranding as populism, whatever you want to call it. It's just not going to be DEI. All that stuff is going away in name only. I believe those programs will continue. And unless you gut a company like Disney, it's not going away. So, but there are people that will push back against it. I think Gary and I both talked about Kevin Feige kind of pushing back against it within Marvel. And he was absent at the premiere of Captain America, not to get ahead of the game. So I don't know. We'll see. I just think it'll rebrand, but not go away. It'll be like a cockroach.
Do you really think it'll? I mean, because see, a part of me, I'm going to play devil's advocate. A part of me feels like it is going away, and a part of me is like they are going to rebrand because we just said. But how long can a studio like Disney, right, which has been spearheading DEI, how long can it continue going with flop after flop? I mean,
well, to be fair, last year they did very well.
no, I'm talking about emotionally.
Mufasa, like
I'm talking about on an ego level, just on a base human level, like the way that they're ridiculed and the way they become a cultural joke for many of their Marvel movies.
Right. I don't know. We're gonna see in the next year. I mean, I fully expect Captain America to flop. So,
do you think that was bad the way they put it out first? Because I was like, you have Fantastic Four coming out in July, which is going to go head to head with Superman, and you're priming the audience for the year with Captain America and then Thunderbolt. Shouldn't it have been the reverse? Like, anchor everything with Fantastic Four if it's supposed to be as good as it is, and then release
I think they're building up to the better movies and getting the garbage out of the way. Like this, this movie. I don't want to get into it now because I think we jumped the gun, but
we will definitely get into it. Don't worry.
Yeah. But I think this program gets rebranded. I think Disney is one of the companies. Disney and Lucasfilm are lost. Okay. I don't think they're unless you do an Elon Musk like what he did to Twitter, now X, or unless they doge Disney and get rid of useless programs. I don't see that happening. They have to lose a lot more money.
I mean, is there like an element of they were under the mistaken belief that this stuff was super popular? Like up until maybe a couple of years ago, like before, say, Elon Musk bought over Twitter, when it was very skewed in one direction, it would create this false impression, like when all this stuff's getting artificially boosted, that, all this DEI stuff, all this super progressive ideology, this is the way we need to be going because this is what people are really shouting about on social media. So we know that it's popular. Now they have a different impression. They have this perhaps slightly more realistic view that, no, this isn't actually that popular. And what we've been doing for years is wasting a lot of time and money pushing something that people don't want.
Well, I think we all had a false impression of what the majority of the world is, basically because of U.S. aid funding propaganda, and even when, as far as video games, right? Like we're under the false impression that a lot of people felt this way, and we are the ones like saying, "Hey, I don't know, this doesn't sit right with me. I'm not down with all this change," and it really represents a small fraction, and it was amplified with propaganda and money.
Well, just think about what Chris just said. What did we find out this week? How many media organizations were receiving money from USAID? I mean, you had Sri Lanka got $8.2 million to train journalists to use non-binary gendered language. Politico, again, Gamergate, wrote multiple articles being funded $8 million a year.
And all that money went exactly to those programs and not in the pockets of people in between. Oh. I'm 100% sure of that. It didn't fall into other people's pockets. There's no, and by saying that, I mean the opposite. So there you go.
So it's astroturfed. It's all astroturf. That's the reality is none of these programs actually have any support.
Correct.
Well, I guess that's what I was getting at, in that it's all like this top-down imposition of a culture that doesn't really exist. It's like it's almost like people in charge trying to say like, this is what average people believe. Honestly, and no one really does, but because everyone sees it constantly and it's bombarding them, it just it almost silences them because they don't want to be that person who stands out and goes against the grain. When you realize everyone kind of agrees with them, they just didn't know it, and that's unavoidable now though, because we know it. Like we see the reactions on social media, we see how the landscape has changed, and I wonder, is that going to have a bearing on how companies like Disney now push this stuff? Will they say it's not profitable, it's not popular, it's not going to make us money, we have got to stop this?
I think it will. I'm waiting for it to come out that Disney's received money from Doge. I mean, they just released this week that Harry and Meghan actually received $13 million from the Silicon Valley Fund, which was fully funded by USAID.
I mean, if anyone needs cash, it's them. Clearly, they're hard up. So,
no. So if they got it, there's somebody in studios getting the money.
Netflix must really regret that 100 million deal they spent on them. It's like all they produced is that polo thing. Like, my God, that is rough.
But is Reimagine Tomorrow still up, though? Isn't the website still up? Reimagine?
No, but it redirects you, I think, to their sort of generic corporate just inclusion page. So,
Gotcha.
I think Reimagine Tomorrow doesn't officially exist anymore.
Cool.
Yeah, I think they've also started to walk back their content warnings on things, like movies from like 10, 20 years ago saying, oh, be aware, this movie contains outdated attitudes and stereotypical depictions that might offend you. I think they've started to walk that back as well.
That'd be great, because I remember when it was a year ago, and it was the BBC and 2 other networks that said that Mary Poppins had to have a trigger warning because it used the expression Hottentots, which is a slur in Africa or South Africa. Sorry.
What are we living in?
It's
this bizarre world. But yeah, again, I think they know that things like that are wildly unpopular and people find them very patronizing. And so there's this motivation now to get rid of that. And I don't know. It would be nice if the pendulum swung back to that middle point where we get like an element of common sense in both directions. Whether they'll do it, I don't know. But yeah, anytime you see stuff like this getting dismantled at the moment, it seems to be a good thing. And it might return these companies to a little bit of profitability.
What do you think about Crocodile Dundee? Do you heard about that?
What was it?
The re-edit with Crocodile Dundee, where they've removed the scenes in the new upcoming release. Chris, you heard about that? I know you heard about that.
I heard rumblings. Yeah.
Yeah, where they
what do they take out?
They remove the, when he says in the scene, now that's a knife, when he pulls out his knife, and also when he grabs the dude in the dress by his balls, they said that's inappropriate. So it's being removed.
The knife bit I don't get, because it's like that's like one of the most memeable, iconic scenes in the movie.
I agree, but they said it's knife violence.
Wow. That's like, I don't even know how to describe that one.
I know.
If that's true, if that's what they've done, like
it was reported, I think, 2 days ago, and they said Australians are all on board with it.
Are you guys?
They should have replaced the knife with the spoon. That would have been a good
I see you've played knifey spoon before. Oh well, guys. I mean, yeah, we'll see what comes of it, but it's superficially, at least, it seems like fairly good news. But yeah, I just wanted to lead with that before we get into the horrible stuff. So perhaps we can, look at this one as well. We got a super chat actually from John McKinley. He's saying, Drinker, MauLer, Chris, Fringy, and George. Can't wait to see y'all's reaction to G20, the new Michelle Obama biopic, aka Die Hard with a Black Girl Magic Vengeance. Glad that you're safer from the fires, Chris, and happy Thirsty Thursday, gents. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And thank you for the donation. I don't know if you guys have seen G20, the trailer for it.
Yeah. Something I was struck by, and I was really thinking about it when I watched that trailer, is there used to be like an ecosystem of forgotten movies, which was like, direct to DVD movies, that there was just like this whole sort of market of these films that got made and released that were seemingly watched by enough people to justify their existence, but didn't really have much of a cultural footprint. Now it's being like replaced with streaming movies that have bigger budgets. I don't understand that.
And now it makes it hard to tell the difference, doesn't it? Because it's like, well, is this actually meant to be a good movie that's just on streaming? Or what? Is it just like a shit concept that you can get into theaters? But like you say, yeah, there's no gradual diminishment of like priority from like, a big top theatrical release to straight to video or DVD to, a TV release.
Well, no, because now it's like straight to DVD, but it cost $100 million, basically. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, because like looking at this, I'll bring up the trailer here for it and try not to get sued at the same time.
Madam President, we have a situation. Ma'am, apprehension is minutes away.
A little much, don't you think, Mom?
Zip it.
Boom. So, yeah, she's She is the president of the United States, but she's also ex-military. She's like a war hero.
You and your
I think we get
brother
to
are
see her
coming
here.
to Cape Town with us.
Why?
You know why.
All you ever care about is work.
There she is, doing stuff.
See, all she cares about is work. She needs to learn that family, that's important. That'll be her family.
It's like Click.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
To be fair, when you're the leader of the free world, you kind of should care about work quite a bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, it's quite a big responsibility that's been put on you, and to some extent, maybe family has to take a back seat for a while you deal with that stuff. I don't know. Call me crazy. Could be wrong.
I implore all world leaders to join me.
I'm going to skip it
Now we
forward
gotta
a little
go
bit.
save the world.
Saving the world there.
I can't believe he did this. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I can't believe it.
I mean,
he went from Banshee, one of the greatest series, to The Boys, and then
to be fair, he's still in The Boys, and that's about as degrading as a human being can experience, I think. I
think this will be where, you're talking about Die Hard, the menopause edition. I mean, it's like now we got, I don't know. I love Banshee.
Why does he look like he's aged about 20 years? I don't know if it's just the lighting or something, but like when he's playing Homelander, I remember him looking fairly young-ish. Here he just looks rough.
Maybe it's just makeup.
Could be. Yeah, could be all it is.
The 20 most powerful.
I'm going to move forward. I do like that he's Australian, though. That's quite good.
Well, he could be.
Well, he's Kiwi.
You just need to get him to say certain words, and then we'll be able to tell. Like if he talks about fish and chips, then we'll be able to tell if he's Australian or if he's New Zealand.
So there's a hostage situation. She and a few other people, I guess, managed to escape and slip out of there unnoticed while the rest of them get taken hostage.
So it's man, like it's so late that like the takeaway from Die Hard is like nobody learned any of the right lessons from Die Hard for the last 30 years. It's just like, yeah, so you just got to make a movie where, certain character with certain gimmick finds themselves in a contained area and they got bad guys to deal with. That's what Die Hard is.
Well,
just got Daisy Ridley hard as well.
That's right.
Cleaner, right? Hard is not a word I associate with Daisy Ridley, if you catch my drift.
Oh my.
Sorry. But no, I get what you mean. And yeah, like the difference is like with Die Hard, he was kind of just an average Joe. Like, yeah, he was a cop, but like he wasn't some crazy like ex-CIA, ex-special forces soldier dude who could like kill like a dozen people without breaking a sweat. Like he was very much up against it. That's what made it so compelling.
That's kind of the problem I think that they find themselves in. It's funny. It's a problem they find themselves in of their own design because they don't understand what the appeal of Die Hard was. But Die Hard is like the purest form of the idea of a regular guy with some experience finds himself in an enclosed environment with a whole bunch of people in danger, including his wife, whom he needs to fight for the opportunity to resolve the problems in their relationship, to apologize to her, with a really charismatic villain and a whole bunch of, intimidating goons that he has to defeat. And like every new version is, yeah, but what if the skyscraper's like real crazy? Or, oh, what if it's like, what if it's the president? What if it's
what if it's a dinosaur?
On a plane or
what
something?
if the skyscraper's on fire? Yeah.
What if it's a cleaner instead of a cop?
To talk about Die Hard, there was a few months ago, The Atlantic wrote an article about it. Something I never even noticed myself. They're like, do you know at the end of Die Hard when you had Franz, I can't remember his name, when you had him, when he's holding on to the hand and McClane lets go of the watch?
Yes.
They're like, do you know that is peak misogyny? That's what they wrote. Because that was the watch. That was the watch that the wife was given from her boss, and so unclasping it and letting it go, that means her feminism died. I was just like, that's
It's
what they
a Christmas
think of Die Hard.
movie. It's
Kinda
about Christmas. It's about foregoing.
And it's just a fucking
expensive
watch.
goods in
I
favor
know,
of
but
things that really matter. My
But
God.
that's what they think of it. That's what they think of it. You had Jennifer Salke 2 years ago in an old interview that I had found that I dug up, where she was explaining. They asked her what she thought of movies from the 80s and before, and she's like, "I don't pay attention to any of them. I don't even know most of them." I mean, it shows you. You're talking about
that
the
definitely
super boss
shows,
at
yeah.
Amazon Prime. She doesn't care about them.
It's the same sort of people that will write like research papers, like unpacking the post-colonial queerness in Tolkien's Middle Earth. No, just
no.
I'm pretty sure none of that even entered into his head when he was writing it. But it's like assigning all these motivation, like these very like 2024 motivations to like people who were writing these works of literature or creating these movies decades ago. And it's absurd, but it's still given airtime. It's still given attention now. And that's the thing that's so annoying, because then people take it as gospel. Let me see. I've got here. I want to see her kicking ass, you see.
Taking the G20 by words exactly as written. Quick beige fox. Quick beige fox. Quick beige fox. Now we control the narrative.
Where have I heard that before? It's just like, again, it's like working in a lot of current deisms, you know, controlling the narrative.
Well, isn't his big plan Project Deepfake? What is that?
I mean, I guess it's like
that's a modern new technology. Let's throw that into the movie. That makes
but it's so dumb because it's like
contemporary commentary.
So it's like we're going to deep fake these world leaders into saying, I don't know, like we're canceling whole world debt, or like we're transferring all our national assets over to this guy, this crazy Australian dude, or whatever. You've got the people right there. You don't need to deep fake them. You've got the actual physical people there. Why is this needed? I mean, I know I'm like surmising stuff based on a trailer, but it just seems daft when you've got all these assets at your disposal.
I don't think they're thinking about it that much. I think they're like, oh, blockchain, buzzwords, crypto. Yeah, that sounds good.
Deepfake, Dogecoin, whatever. Yeah.
My husband and kids are missing. We have to find them.
There we go. We've got
your personal stakes.
Yeah,
as are required.
But you see what they did there? They flipped the genders. That makes it modern. Genius.
Ooh.
If you want to live, you'll follow my lead. Now you're Captain America.
There we got the
oh my God.
token patronizing white guy, of course, who doesn't believe that she can do it. Like, of course it was going to be him.
And here we go.
Are you guys ready to watch an almost 60-year-old, not particularly in shape woman beat the shit out of like 3 guys twice her size? Well, prepare yourselves.
That was quite well done.
It's just like the elevator fight in Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Yeah.
Why? Like, because I've seen Woman King as well. Like, why is Viola Davis getting cast in action movies where she's fighting people?
She's awesome.
What made people look at her and think, yeah, that's action movie material right there?
We'd have to look when this was produced. Was this at the height of DEI?
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Let me see if I can see when it was conceived.
It's just crazy the way they do it.
So, there's almost nothing about it. Yeah, it was announced in November 2022.
Ah, there we go.
So yeah, it was
filming.
It was delayed by the
strike.
Yeah, I do wonder if they were doing this on the premise that they kind of imagined that the US election. Well, I think maybe they thought the US election was going to turn out a bit differently, and this would be more timely.
I think the funniest interpretation of that would be that they did this before what happened with Biden happened, so they just assumed he would be elected and die.
Which is not unfair, to be honest. Or he'd like, forget where he was or something and just walk off a cliff or something like that. Yeah.
I mean, we're still talking about Amazon, right? What did they release today? You know, because they're like, it's officially renewed for season 3, Rings of Power. And then they're like, we're going to do a little time jump. I mean, it's the same group of people. They have a show that in its first season loses 63% of its audience. Its second season loses half of that. What the third season can be watched by what? Jeff Bezos, a Bangladeshi bot farm, and his dog?
I don't even get why there was a hesitation about renewing it. Like they'd already said they were going to do 5.
I would almost certainly assume it's because they were having long conversations about what season 3 was going to look like and how much money they had to play with and whether or not they would get their 5 seasons or if it would be less than that. Anytime when there's like a long, because usually when a show is really successful, it gets renewed like a week after it comes out. Sometimes it gets renewed before it came out. It's a go-to example, but bafflingly, Halo was renewed for a second season before the first one came out, but then season 2 came out and you didn't hear anything for about 5 months or like 4 or 5 months, and then like, oh yeah, it's done.
They have
because they're having conversations.
You guys promised us. You said it would get X viewership, and now they're like, well, it's because we haven't gotten to the One Ring yet. Once we get to the One Ring, that's when the viewers are going to skyrocket.
So you got to let us do it. You got to let us do that.
Yeah, otherwise it's all a waste.
You got to let us do it for hundreds of millions of dollars.
You have to respect it's an artistic endeavor. We've set everything up. Everything's set up now.
Oh, I think they said also there will be 3 directors this time, not 5 like season 2. 3.
Are they all going to be women like last season? Because that was a real
one's a guy. Well, he identifies as a guy. 2 are women. And then somebody who said, a dude. So 2 women and a dude.
Right. Okay. That's nice.
It's
like to Fringy's point, like about like deciding what budget's going to be available. I think it's fair to say like it's going to be a considerably smaller budget than say season 1.
It has
like,
to be.
It's got to be, yeah.
Spending that much money when the viewership like cratered.
It's just going to be Galadriel and Elrond and stuff just sitting in a house, just talking about their day.
That's why I said, think about it. This is Amazon. I mean, when I looked at this, I literally thought this was some kind of a. First, I thought it was fake. And then I was like, no, it's serious. Okay.
Let me see the rest of it here.
They've got at least 5 hostages in the kitchen.
Your survival is what matters most.
I will not leave them.
Drop it!
Well, that was a bad idea to get right up close to him. That was probably not wise.
Guns.
If you're a woman who's almost 60 years old and you're fighting a human tank like that, I don't know, man. I wouldn't want to tangle with him. But look, watch what she does. It's just like grills him. Look at that. How has she got the strength to push him into that? How is he not just like throwing her against the wall?
Maybe he's drunk.
He lifts tanks for fun, and it's not.
I think you don't understand. Being drunk actually makes you stronger more.
But off balance.
It does, yeah, definitely. It doesn't make you faster, but it does make you stronger.
The problem actually here is that he's screaming. He shouldn't be. He should be happy. He's having fun.
Yeah.
It's like Queen Latifah in the Equalizer TV series.
Yeah. Oh, that makes me feel sad.
They just renewed it.
President Danielle Sutton. You get around, don't you?
I'll get around to you too.
This is what I mean, right?
Him.
Yeah, zinger right there. And again, I go back to the Die Hard example. McClane was shit scared throughout that, and he was genuinely terrified that his wife was going to get killed. He wasn't going to make it. Like when he was getting injured, he felt the pain. She just looks like it's like a Steven Seagal movie. It's like Under Siege. She just looks like 100% in control. Like all the bad guys that are in her way are just a passing inconvenience. Why? How are we supposed to identify with her when she's never under threat?
She's badass.
I mean, sure. Yeah.
He agreed. Got him.
Sure, yeah. She's just badass. That makes me like her.
Mom, I can help.
Lights up.
Find her.
Daughter's a tech genius. Women in STEM.
When was the last time they did this, Drinker? Wasn't it Harrison Ford in Air Force One? I mean, something similar where you had Gary Oldman was like some Russian terrorist and they took over Air Force One and he was like a Marine. But it was more believable, at least.
In in the early 90s, well, early to mid 90s, you got the high concept movies, which were just straight up Die Hard clones. So, like, let's do Die Hard on a plane, Air Force One. Let's do Die Hard on a battleship, Under Siege. Let's do Die Hard on a train, Under Siege 2. You know, all over and over. But it had played out by like the mid 90s, and then it kind of died out as a concept. Now it seems like it's having a bit of a resurgence. You know, let's do Die Hard in a skyscraper again, but with a woman who's a window cleaner, but also ex-special forces. Okay, you got the cleaner. Now it's like, let's do Die Hard, but with like the president, but in like a summit or something for world peace. We've got this thing.
But even though it was popcorn, you know, popcorn movies, it felt a little bit more realistic when you saw who was playing it. I mean, you could see Seagal flipping judo, doing all that, knocking people out. You're like, oh, okay. You know.
I mean, in Seagal's case, not so much because he just.
That
man just never gave a fuck.
Well, now I saw one of his last movies. I mean, he was killing everybody from a chair, slapping everybody in a chair, slapping everybody from a chair.
It is impressive how little effort he puts in. Apparently, like he's actually, when he shows up in a movie, or you know, when he's cast in one, the production company have got like lawsuits ready to go because he's got this habit of showing up for a few hours and then just saying, "Fuck it, I'm done," and then just leaving. So they're ready to sue him if he doesn't like put in his mandatory 2 days of screen time.
Where are my husband and kids?
We're all here together.
Of course, the guy's bound and gagged.
That's the genius, you see. I'm pretty sure that's his death scene, by the way. It looks pretty conclusive. There you go. You guys excited for G20?
Ooh,
oh yeah,
it's Die Hard with Home Alone.
It looks bitchin'.
It's DEI hard
with Home Alone.
Well, they have the kids. You know, the kids are going to help a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, look at this. So, yeah, their blackmail to control the narrative wouldn't even work since everyone would know that these politicians' voices have been compromised. Exactly. Yeah. Like, this is the whole place has been taken hostage. What are you supposed to do?
Keep them.
And and if you've got them on hand, you can force them to do whatever you want right there and then. Again, it just seems stupid.
And would the world care that those leaders were taken? That's the thing. Would they be like, oh, okay.
Yeah. This is in fact wrong. Air Force One is the best Die Hard clone. I think it might be Under Siege just because it's got a battleship in it. Despite the fact that it's got Steven Seagal, I just think the fact that it's got a battleship with big guns just makes me happy.
Didn't it have Erica Leniak in it too? Coming out of the birthday cake?
Yeah.
That was the scene I thought you were going to reference first.
I love that.
I mean, it definitely has that. If they'd had her like sitting astride the guns, I would have just been happy, man. It's like, that's it. Drinker recommends. Perfect movie. Give it every Oscar ever. Yeah. What was the next one? Yeah. G20, they made a 20th version of Gatorade already. Yeah, of course they do. Yeah, let's do Die Hard on the Enterprise D, Starship Mine, TNG, Season 6, Episode 18. I remember that one, actually. Yeah. I think it's just Picard and... Is it Worf? Yeah, but they're trapped on the Enterprise D. Like, they've got to do a little Die Hard moment when terrorists are trying to hijack it. Like, the whole crew's been evacuated so it can be decontaminated. It's a neat little thing. I mean, it's a very sanitized, the next generation version of Die Hard, but it was nice anyway. But yeah, that was G20. We're all fired up for it. Great. I've put it off long enough, though. Sorry, MauLer. Shall we talk about Captain America?
I guess I'll allow it.
Okay. We'll just go clockwise then. MauLer, and then George, and so on. Give us your thoughts on this movie.
Broad thoughts. Wow. We've more than certainly entered the era where any given people can just walk into the MCU, make their movie, and leave, and it has to have nothing to do with anything. They can just make a wish, foundation level of just have whatever the hell they want to be true at the start of it and at the end of it, to be honest. Heavily insecure movie, I would say. They can't stop announcing that Sam Wilson is Captain America. They really, really, really want to push that is the case and that you will like it. It is awkward and embarrassing. Because
did you like when Bucky Barnes shows up and says, you are the best choice for Captain America.
Even better than Steve, because you can't really be Steve, but you could be Sam because he doesn't have super soldier serum. Because that's kind of Steve was never inspiring. He was always just the guy who did stuff because he had serum. That's kind of he's not as impressive as Sam, who has vibranium technology shielding that makes it so that Red Hulk can't hurt him. Just some stuff, some tech. Like 2 of those remote controlled birds that fucking shoot lasers. Yeah, just some bits and bobs, whatever. Man, the whole plot is entirely retarded. The several villains it's hard to track what the fuck their plans were, and they all cross over and crash to ribbons the second you think about any of it. And the action was lame. It was poorly paced. It was edited to fucking back. It was hilarious trying to spot the 3 different movies inside this film.
Yeah.
And nothing impressed me. Dialogue, acting, anything. It was exactly what I was expecting. I'll say, it's not as bad as Multiverse of Madness, but what does that even fucking mean? Who cares?
Wow.
George, I know you haven't seen it, so I won't subject you to it. So I will say, Fringy, what was your thoughts?
I mean, it's exactly what you would expect. Like, is there any reason to believe that after what has been one of the most baffling, streaks of terrible films in the history of cinema, that, the 11th film, that'll be the one that turns things around? It's just awful for the same reason that every other Marvel film is awful. It's a story that, it's a story that fundamentally doesn't make any sense at all. Like, the way that all of the scenes are strung together is completely fucking bizarre and illogical. The characters are thin, and don't even really pull from their own history. It's exactly what MauLer said. If somebody comes in, they have the story that they want to tell, regardless of what came before, and certainly with no regard for what any writers that come later have to do with everything that they've established and all of the implications that it has on the world. It is just like a mess, and I don't think that has anything in it that would be particularly crowd pleasing either. I don't know that people are particularly fond of really awful green screen, lame fight scenes where there are so many cuts and chops that it's difficult to keep track of what's happening. It's just a mess. It's an absolute mess.
Yep. I don't disagree with a single word you said there, actually. Nihat, what do you reckon?
I got the impression that they didn't know what movie they wanted to make, because this is like a Frankenstein's monster of other MCU films. There's strands from Captain America, the Winter Soldier, Civil War. The movie also functions as a sequel to the Edward Norton, The Incredible Hulk, and a loose continuation of the Eternals, like they mentioned the Celestials. Much in the same way, I felt like Sam Wilson's Captain America is also a Frankenstein's monster of other heroes. He's got the shield of Cap, the mask of Ant-Man. I think you mentioned this yourself, Drinker. The wings of Falcon, the tech of Iron Man, the fight choreography of Black Widow, and the vibranium armor of Black Panther. The script is a mess. It's very hard to follow. The characters are all over the place and very inconsistent. There's a very weak villain. The editing, CGI, and pacing is also very choppy. And about halfway through, you start to realize how many reshoots were done to put this thing together. I can only imagine what the previous version of this film was. It's better than the Marvels, I guess. But yeah, this is just a horrible movie.
Yep. Chris, what do you think? I'm just waiting for you to say I loved it. It was fucking amazing.
Well, I mean, I will tell you this. One of the greatest films ever made that I know all of you love was ridiculed. They thought would fail. The studio wasn't behind it. And all the friends of this filmmaker said, movie's not very good. It's kind of bad. Turned out to be one of the best movies ever. I'm talking about Star Wars. When George Lucas showed it to his friends, they were like, I don't know what this is. This is bad. And turned out to be amazing. This is not one of those movies. So I'll just say that it's ill-conceived from the beginning that to diminish Captain America to a mantle instead of a man was a bad idea from the get-go. That was terrible. I don't know who Sam Wilson is. I know who Steve Rogers is. He's a skinny boy from Brooklyn who would jump on a grenade to save others and sacrifice himself. That's the heart of a hero. That's before he took the serum. I still don't know who Sam Wilson is. I think Anthony Mackie is a very likable actor who's a very good sidekick. And I love him as Falcon. This was a bad idea from the beginning. It's a mess. The director was in over his head. It's shot like a TV movie. The action scenes look like a child wore a green screen leotard and played with toys. It's so incomprehensible. So, horrible CGI, bad action, a complete mess of a script that is nearly all exposition. And when we get to spoilers, I'll point out specifics that are beyond comprehension how bad they are. And if you look at Rotten Tomatoes right now, the rating is sort of fluctuating. It's now the 33rd it ranked 33rd out of 35 Marvel movies. So,
wow. What's below it? What's below it?
Check for yourself. I don't know.
I think Eternals is one of them.
Yeah,
this is kind of the thing, though. Is
Marvels has got to be below it, surely.
Yeah. So, and the only good line from the trailer isn't in the movie. When Ross says, "You're no Steve Rogers," no, I'm not. That's not in the movie. So
yes,
this is a colossal failure that'll probably do better than the Marvels because people like Anthony Mackie as Falcon. He is a likable character. I don't get this whole mantle thing. You can't just call yourself Skywalker at the end of a 9-film saga.
Yeah, you can.
Have it be
J.J. Abrams did.
Well, exactly.
And it's just like no one else.
Stupid idea. It's a stupid idea. Not to mention, as I think MauLer, you pointed out, this sort of hodgepodge of powers. He has Ant-Man's. I'm frozen there for a second. He has Ant-Man's helmet, which is a lazy thing Marvel's done with every character. You know, Ant-Man's helmet. He's got Falcon's wings with Wakanda tech. Cap's shield. He's like, I don't know, just a hodgepodge of like, it's dumb. He's like a Lego set and he's a man. He's a human. I think I'll tell you maybe one way I think it could have worked once we get into the story. There's an interesting thing with the character of what's his name, Tobias. Isaiah Bradley. The character of Isaiah Bradley, who was a soldier. Imagine the same movie, but Isaiah Bradley is Steve Rogers, old Steve Rogers, in that role. And Falcon or Sam Wilson trying to save Steve Rogers. That would have made it so much better. Think through the story, as dumb as it is, and it's so simple-minded. This movie wants to be Winter Soldier.
Yes.
And it's a TV show. It's bad. Or a Manchurian Candidate.
But isn't that the problem?
The Winter Soldier aspect of it is the thing that jumped out at me. Like, it wants to have that grounded, serious tone of Winter Soldier. It wants to play with socio-political themes and the idea of, security versus freedom, that sort of thing. But it also has to work with ridiculous, galactic level concepts, like a celestial bursting out of planet Earth, and you've got the Red Hulk, which is very much grounded in a different aspect of the MCU, and it's trying to bring together all these disparate elements, and it never finds a way to make them work together. As people have pointed out, you can absolutely tell the cuts that have been made in this movie. There's characters that go absolutely nowhere, that just show up and then nothing is done with them. You've got Giancarlo Esposito's character, who in the trailers, he was built up as this criminal mastermind. This dude was going to absolutely test this guy to his limits. He's in 2 scenes, and one of them is an awkward fight watching a 65-year-old man go toe-to-toe with Anthony Mackie, who's a fucking tank.
That was the scene I got the impression of the Winter Soldier copy. It's like they wanted to recreate the first proper Cap and Winter Soldier fight, but this time they had a guy and an elderly man.
Yep.
You mean
they've got
weren't
that? You've got
trying
the sort of secret agent girl who I can't remember her fucking name for the life of me because I think they say it once in the entire movie. She's like the Israeli special forces lady who's helping them. She does basically nothing. She's introduced. She has her little girl boss moment where she beats up like 6 guys who are twice her size, and I mean literally twice her size because this girl is tiny. The actress
Possibly
is
even 3
tiny.
times this size.
I thought
Yeah,
she was
possibly.
a child. I thought she was a child.
Everyone does.
We all
Like,
did, yeah.
They
she's
picked
so
the least
skinny and-
intimidating actress in the world. So yeah, but then she does nothing, and like I'm willing to bet there's a cut of this movie where she is a Black Widow type character, like Black Widow was in Winter Soldier. This was her, only not as good looking.
Did you notice in the skirmish with the planes and ships and by the Celestial that she was in an outfit?
Yeah, she was in
Like
a
she-
superhero
yeah,
costume.
like she was
It
doing
like a blue
stuff.
jacket
She
and a
did
blue vest.
nothing.
Yep,
There
that's
were-
all
there were-
cut. All cut.
Yeah. Clearly.
They even like making Japan not the antagonist, but like the warring power that America's
Right.
going to go to war with. Who the fuck is going to go to war against America? Least of all, Japan. Like you guys tried
Right.
that already, and it didn't work out too well for you.
Yeah.
Like China would have been the much more logical opponent, but Disney are never going to make China the antagonists in a movie like this for obvious reasons. So it's like, who else is in Southeast Asia?
Yes.
Fucking
Something
Japan,
I found,
I guess.
Something I found really bizarre about the movie when you think about it is that, the idea of, it's a Captain America film. It's like, I mean, really, like the central plot and the central conflict is all the fallout of the Incredible Hulk. Like, if any other hero had been called in instead of Sam, like nothing really changes. The central conflict doesn't stem from like decisions that he made or the consequences of prior Captain America storylines. It's basically, the leader. He's out to get Ross, and Sam just happens to be there and get involved in the plot.
Yeah, I mean, there's an element of continuation from Falcon and the Winter Soldier as well with Isaiah. But like he's almost used,
but
just
that's
as a plot
incidental,
device.
Yeah, like
yeah.
It could have been anybody else. It could have been that Captain Marvel was there, and then she invited, I don't know, one of her friends, and then she got mind controlled, and then like nothing changes. It all plays out exactly the same way.
Oh, Fringy, she doesn't have any friends. No one likes her, even in the
Well,
universe.
no, she had a Monica, but she's trapped in another universe, and I'm sure we'll see her again at some point.
Probably, yeah.
So I have a question. I'm going to go see it later tonight. Do you have to have seen the 2008 Hulk movie plus Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
No, you're in luck. There's a really smooth exposition scene at the beginning of the film to catch you up on the events of the Incredible Hulk.
It's literally the exposition throughout the whole movie is awful.
It's literally like the first 30 minutes are just like, as you know, kind of conversations, like where they just fill everyone in on their own personal history.
Well, like when Sam does the deflection at first with his vibranium Wakanda shield shit. And then the guy's like, whoa, what the fuck? And he's like, oh, that's because his suit was made by Wakanda. It has Wakanda technology in it. It's like,
how does he survive? How does MauLer, how does he survive getting hit by the Hulk when you see it in the trailer?
He uses his wings and the shield.
He's got the wings, the shield, the vibranium material, and you have there's shield tech inside his suit.
I mean, there's things in it that piss me off a lot. Like when he gets punched across the street, right? And he does that thing where he's being pushed back by the force of the punch, and like his feet are burrowing into the pavement, like the tarmac of the road. But like, there's nothing protecting them. It's literally just his legs doing that, but it doesn't snap all the bones in his body.
Which
they try to put purple goo on like all of the different hits he takes to imply it's all softening it. But there's a part I think where Red Hulk is like swinging around a flagpole, and Sam just grabs it with his hands.
Yeah,
like it's just like no, there's no amount of purple goo that's letting you do that, mate.
Yeah,
and like the thing is, even Steve Rogers with the super soldier serum wouldn't be able to take on the Hulk.
It really is the clearest example of where things have gone wrong. That it used to be that Iron Man needed a massive Hulkbuster suit to fight against. Now, like a guy in basically a magical suit, because that's essentially
Which I
what it
don't-
is in terms of the
I don't
technology.
like
Magic.
any of this shit. The end of Cap 1, it's like he's doing some incredible shit that's well beyond the average human, but pushing a super soldier to his limits. Remember the end of Winter Soldier, he's shot I think 3 times before he gets the final card in the thing, and then basically lets Bucky beat him because he just refuses to fight at that point. And then in Civil War, he's on the verge of death against Iron Man, but every time he's only ever using his strength, his skill, his agility, and he's got maybe some tools. Obviously, the shield, you have a grapple every once in a while, but that's it. Fucking Falcon, he has like a armory's worth of every hero's powers.
It's the
I'm not
stupid
impressed at
fucking.
all.
It's the stupid drones that are always hovering around, like shooting little laser beams into Hulk's ass, and like it does nothing. But it just like the movie insists on showing you, and it's like, what is that even meant? What are we meant to take from that? He's getting a tiny bit of help from these little drone things.
But the vibranium suit like actually cuts him and injures him. Like he's actually doing better than Tony did, basically, in that fight.
It's like Fringy was saying, though, if I remember correctly, in Ultron, Stark didn't last too long. He only had a few minutes. In the Hulkbuster. So you're telling me he could take that for a few minutes in the Hulkbuster, but Mackie could just keep going?
I mean, he basically wins the fight. Like, it's kind of like he wins, and then he kind of doesn't, and then he talks Ross down. He's like, "Hey, you're good. Don't be evil anymore." And
nice
we're gonna get into spoilers now, I think. So let's just say fuck it. Spoilers. Yeah. So he stabs him multiple times with this vibranium suit, and like he puts the wing right through his gut. And then like there's a big explosion because I think he can somehow like harness the kinetic energy of impacts and then like just dispel it like through the wings. So like it's
Black Panther in his movie.
So it creates a big explosion, everyone gets kind of knocked out, and then like they both get up, and like the Hulk is kind of like injured but still in the fight, and his line is pretty much, "Have you tried not being a Hulk?" And then he just goes, "Okay,
it works,"
and it works.
And I thought, at the very least, okay, it'd be cliched as fuck, like, but bring Betty in or something, and just be like, "Hey, your daughter's here. Like, please don't kill me because she's here, and like she's your moral anchor, and she'll help to bring you down."
Well, they're setting that up throughout the film, like that he's going to go for a walk with her. And so you're expecting her to arrive there at the end and calm him down and then go for that walk that they were talking about. But none of that happens. Like there's all this setup and no payoff.
Yeah.
No, she just shows up later in a different scene where it's like, it's less potent.
And Falcon's just awkwardly standing in the background.
In the movie, does he still look like the bomb popsicles? You know, the red, white, and blue? Because in the trailers that I've seen, it just looks horrible. The color, the way they have him look.
Do you mean the suit?
Yeah,
like
the suit. I mean, the trailer. When I looked at it, it looks like the popsicles you used to eat as a kid.
Maybe help me out with this. In the opening fight of the movie, like a guy cuts through his suit.
Yes.
Like he gets into a fight with a dude, and it cuts through the suit, and it's like, wait, but that shouldn't be impossible, right? Because it's a vibranium suit. But like it never gets mentioned again. He just gets a new suit and that's the suit that he's using
another new Wakandan vibranium suit. Which
why didn't he let his buddy, the new Falcon, use that one? Why does he have to use the inferior one?
This series now is the classic example of what happens when you've mingled together far too many powers and technologies and like abilities. To the point where anything could happen at any moment, and it's explainable because you've got so many things at your disposal to save the day. You know, this is a world where you've got vibranium that can fucking do anything. Who cares? You've got like nanotechnology suits. You've got witchcraft. You've got wizardry. You've got sorcery, and they're apparently all different things. You've got power stones, infinity stones, God knows what else. You've got like spiritual beings, you've got like multiverses. It's to the point where anything could happen at any moment and you can make it justifiable in universe, and then there's no weight to anything now because there's always something to save the day. It's too convoluted at this point.
Well, how was Falcone? His Falcon.
Well, he's pretty forgettable, but fine. He's just like a
that's a
protege.
good standing off point actually to sort of move to that, because all that technology and protection we've just described for Falcon, it's not actually there for his Falcon. His Falcon just has the Stark tech, the shitty Stark tech wings at this point. So what we're dealing with there is like they go into battle together like a team, but really it's entirely unfair because one of them has basically god powers and the other one is basically a glider with a thruster. And it's just like, I'm sorry if I can't quite do everything you can in the fight, Falcon. And he's just like, it's okay, you'll get it next time, buddy. And it's like, yeah, okay.
It is a bit awkward, and I mean, doesn't it seriously undermine? You mentioned it, MauLer. It is a bizarre conclusion that the film comes to because the film needs to deal with the question of, well, Sam is Captain America. Maybe that wasn't the right decision, and the point that Bucky makes is essentially that the thing that's good about Sam in a way that wasn't really the case for Steve is that anybody could be him because he's not a super soldier, which kind of like ignores the whole point that it's meant to be the content of Steve's character. That's what is aspirational rather than specifically that you are superhuman. And it also ignores that he wasn't a superhuman originally. He was a notably weak individual compared to the average person. So all of that is just ridiculous anyway, but doesn't seriously undermine the idea of, man, maybe I'm not cut out for this because I don't have the super soldier serum, except I have a crazy vibranium suit and like these drones that can fly around shooting rockets and lasers and everything. Like, why would you even need the serum when the suit is as powerful as it is that you could fight the Hulk, the Red Hulk?
That's the thing, like, because
not die.
You can go down two different paths with this, right? Because like the things like the suit and the technology and stuff that belongs in the hands of someone like Tony Stark, who is decidedly not like powerful physically, but he's got this great intellect that allows him to create this stuff. His mind is his greatest weapon that allows him to forge tools that he can use in battle, which is great. Okay, that's fine. In the case of Captain America, as you point out, with Steve Rogers, it's his tremendous like will to continue, his ability to
courage.
I can
his courage, his self-sacrifice. He's the embodiment of the human spirit right there. And there's something really fucking cool about that. And it becomes notable towards the end of the Infinity Saga when he is matched up against people who are wildly more powerful than him. But you know what? He stands his ground, and even knowing that it could cost his life, he's willing to give that up to try and stop Thanos, for example, when he's like holding the Infinity Gauntlet to try and like hold him off at the last second to protect Vision. That is the fucking human spirit right there, which is what is so inspirational about Steve Rogers. That is what makes him special. You know, yeah, he's been given a little bit of extra strength through the super serum, but that's all it is. He's still like a guy who's willing to put everything on the line for his friends. But this movie just loses all of that. It doesn't know what it wants. It doesn't know the point it wants to make about what a hero is.
Well, it's pretty silly considering the whole point of superhero stories anyway is like there aren't any like actual people with superpowers in the real world, but it doesn't mean that people don't aspire to emulate those characters specifically for who they are. Not like, oh man, I really would like to look up to Superman, but I can't fly. It's like that's just not how it works.
Right, but it's exactly kind of like what Chris said a little while ago. Again, haven't seen the movie, I'm seeing it tonight, but we're talking about the universal themes. Captain America, when Erskine was talking to him the night before, he was going to transform and he was going to be given the serum. It's like, it's what's inside. It's, it makes the good better, it's who you are. What did Sam do? Sam was a great sidekick. I liked Anthony Mackie. He had charisma, charm. Is like, flying Batman, but with not the billions and a lot of grit. But what is it that defines him?
And on the point of like, we can't be, Superman and Steve, those guys, they had biology that we couldn't possibly compare to as humans. So we're not they're not as aspiring or inspiring as someone like Sam. It's like Sam, yes, who has technology that probably costs billions that he's just wearing everywhere that obviously the average person doesn't have any fucking access to. Like, what are you talking about?
I think the movie to some extent is still hung up on where he was at in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I think probably it would have explored that a lot more in the original cut. I think they've removed a lot of that stuff.
His family didn't have any piece in this, huh? They were like prominent in the show.
In the show, yeah. To Fringy's point, like there's a question that keeps being thrown around in the film as to whether Sam should have taken the super soldier serum. If he was so weak of a character that he needed all of these tech upgrades, then yes, perhaps he should have taken the serum. But none of that would change the fact that he doesn't have the same ideals, stoicism that Steve Rogers did. You know, like we don't even know what he stands for in this movie. This is supposed to be his debut launching pad for him as Captain America, but it doesn't establish or define what he is or what he represents at all.
Exactly. We never really got an origin.
Who is he? Who is
Is there a grand final big test of the character, right? Cap's, that's why it's his trilogy, and it's really strong considering MCU sort of stuff. But first one is like, is Cap willing to give up his life to destroy the plans of the Red Skull ultimately? And he's like, yes, I will. Winter Soldier, is Cap willing to give up his life to defend his friend who he desperately believes, is still in there, sort of thing? Comes through on that. And then Civil War, is he going to stand in the way of Iron Man to protect that friend? And he says, I can do this all day. It's like these really big character tests that he gets. What the fuck was Falcons?
Exactly. Exactly. And not only that, why did he not take the serum? Why?
There's no good reason that's given.
Yeah, because
exactly right. There's no reason.
Yeah, because his whole thing throughout this is like, maybe I should have taken the serum, and everyone in the audience is going to conclude, yeah, you should have.
Yeah,
especially
it would have given you a massive advantage.
I mean, the statement was the serum makes you more of what you are, so good becomes better, right? That's what Steve is meant to be. So if you're a good guy, then it should be no problem. But now it seems to be this notion of like there's something unhinged about being taking a super soldier because John Walker did it, and we don't like him.
The only way to do this, I think, would have been to put him through some kind of trial where it came down to just sheer grit and determination that would get you through. It's not about strength anymore. And the conclusion that you might reach by the end of it is, yeah, I'm not as strong as you. I can't take as much punishment as someone who's taken the super serum. But man, I'm just not going to quit no matter what. And you're going to have to kill me to stop me. That's something, at least. It's pretty hokey, but like there's something there at least that you could draw on. Like the human spirit will pull you through all of this. But we don't even get that. Like I don't even know what his conflict is in this. He's just a guy doing stuff.
Like Iron Man 3 drinker, when that whole question that he had is like, who am I without the suit? And he goes through that whole journey to show that he didn't need the suit. He was Iron Man because there's rain. So where is that for Sam? If you pulled him out in this movie out of all of his tech, does it answer that question?
No, and to be fair, the tech is immense. He's like the equivalent of Gaia in Secret Invasion, but for technology now.
But if you pulled him out of that.
But no, that's the thing. There's no even thought of that. You don't have Falcon without all that shit. Now, he has to be that.
You would think like
Steve jumping on the grenade. Would he be like, okay, here I'm going to give him my life?
They don't give him anything like that.
That's the thing. Like, as people have pointed out, like by the end of this movie, I still don't feel like I know who Sam is. I didn't know at the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I don't really know what drives him. I don't know what his backstory is, what molded him, what defining moments there were in his life that made him who he is. He's just a guy.
And here's the saddest part of that. That is what Marvel does well. Character. Very human and relatable people. Peter Parker, we know who he is. Steve Rogers. We know who these people are. It's Marvel's strength. And what they did well in comics and early MCU was like, look, all this stuff is going to be expensive with the effects. We'll focus on character. That's why they hired so many indie film directors or plucked people from indie film, because that's what independent film does well. Character. And then Marvel adds on the spectacle. I also want to point out this is Anthony Mackie's worst performance. I mean, terrible. There's some, I remember from the commentary track from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, where Tobey Maguire talks about the final scene with him and Doc Ock, and Tobey's holding up the wall. Actors practice those kinds of things. When you were pointing out earlier, MauLer, about, Steve giving it his all, you see the pain, you see Tobey, you have to, as actors, you have to pretend a wall is about to fall and really sell it. Sam gets stabbed in the chest and thinks nothing of it. We never see him go through pain, whether emotional or physical.
I'm partially convinced that they actually caught that in the reshoots, and they said like, "Oh, back up and at it," even though you had a hatchet to the chest. I guess you must have been wearing vibranium weave, huh?
Because he's got blood, so clearly it penetrated his body.
Yeah, he was bleeding.
There's a lot of ADR and like lines that were inserted clearly because of how it got chopped up and changed so many times where it's like, man, we are holding really long on this reverse shot where I can't see their face.
Yeah.
Bad.
I feel like I can't even gauge Anthony Mackie's performance in this because it's not fair. Because like
I don't
what
think
we're seeing is him being in like 3 different movies.
Right.
That's kind of how I feel as well. Like, I don't even know what his direction would have been. I don't even know if he knew what the whole story was going to look like when, you know, it was all said and done. Like, what
I can imagine, because I can imagine after like the 3rd round of reshoots, he was probably just in like, I just want this to fucking end kind of territory. Like that was where his mind was at, and so he's probably not going to be given his best. He gave a few decent moments, like, you know, right at the end where he's talking to his buddy in the hospital bed and he's like reflecting on, am I ever going to be enough as Captain America? I felt like he was going for it there. I thought he was doing his best. You know, stuff like that is okay. And there's
just that it's not supported by the entire film.
Exactly.
Like problem. I can't remember who had mentioned it, but the film is very plot heavy. There are like a handful of scenes that are, you know, your character focused scene, but most of the time the scene is, why do we need to go to this location? What's going on with this person? What like moves are they making? Where's the leader gone to? What's he up to? What's Gus Fring like? What information does he have to share? So much of it is just getting the characters to where they need to go for a plot that isn't very interesting and obviously makes no sense.
Can we talk about the leader for a second?
Yeah.
That horrible design. I mean, everyone here knows who has read the comics. The leader is a green version of Ryan Kinnell. He's with the big forehead. That's the leader. But the leader in this, maybe, I don't know, maybe it was a rights thing with whatever. He looks like a partially green guy with a head of cauliflower on his on top of his
he
head.
looks like that Wojak meme of like, you know, the pseudo intellectual where it's like their brain just like kind of goes backwards.
On the outside, look, I burst out laughing when they did the reveal of it was so bad.
I think they thought that was going to look like really scary and intimidating, and it just looked comical.
Right.
Yeah. It sounds like you're describing that character from Invincible season 2, the cartoon, the guy who can cut through dimensions and his brain is hanging out.
Well, the problem is as well, like he's built up as like being this like mega intelligent guy. He's essentially a biological computer that can calculate probabilities of like every person's behavior based on like their entire psychological profile. So he essentially knows what you're going to do like days before you do it. But like he's consistently outmaneuvered and he's consistently proven wrong throughout the whole movie.
Shocking.
Yeah. And so like there's nothing intelligent about him. And it's that classic example of like a character is only as smart as the writer.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, and you gotta wonder, if he was able to do all of the things that he does in this film in terms of mind control, why didn't he try this way earlier? Why did he allow himself to spend 17 years like just sitting around? Even more than that, potentially, because the Marvel films, I think, are set a couple of years in the future. Like, it could be literally in the timeline, like 20 years later, that he just allowed himself to be Ross's pawn. And then basically, as soon as he became president, it's like, nah, I ain't letting you out. That he just decides to enact this plan that seems to allow him to control the minds of like anybody. Why did he not just do this earlier and take over the world?
Well, it reminds me of Isaiah Bradley. It's the same thing. When you have even characters in universe being like, why didn't we know anything about this for this entire stretch of time? It's like, because you're a retcon. You were never
made up. This is
Yeah.
made up. This wasn't what it was before. But now it like goes back spanning the entire history of Ross, which you could say is like not hugely consequential necessarily because he appeared in supporting roles in other films. But I mean, it has an impact. You're meant to conclude that in Civil War, he had access to the leader with the ability to like essentially predict the future with a degree of accuracy that's meant to be very good. And what? Like that wasn't going to come in handy at all at any point in Civil War or Infinity War or Endgame, really?
Yeah, like these guys, yeah. It's the same. Like we had it with Shang-Chi, we had it with all these things, like these ancient societies that have been pulling the strings from behind the scenes. We had it with Black Widow as well, but like nobody ever mentioned them up until now. Sure, yeah,
it's just silly. It's dumb, and it's like, and I don't even know why this would be the idea. When again, this is all Incredible Hulk fallout, but it doesn't have the Incredible Hulk in it.
Yeah, and like for because considering how big a part he plays in the trailers, obviously for the spectacle aspect of it, he is in it for literally 5 minutes right at the end of the movie. That's it. That's all he is.
Yeah.
Was the after credit scenes worth it?
I don't know. I shut down the stream. I mean, sorry, like left the movie theater before then. So I don't know.
There's just one, I believe, because there wasn't one in the mid credits. It's like it's the leader going like, yeah, multiverse, huh? Like, that's basically it.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny to think about because, like, how much is this story actually going to be relevant going forward? Like, not at all. It's a kind of a recurring thing. Like, yeah, the fact that they finally brought in the Celestial poking out of the ocean like 4 years later is hilarious.
It was 2021,
right? Yeah, so
yeah, 3 years ago, isn't it?
5 years ago.
Oh, I thought it was 3
no,
years.
it's 4 years. 2021 to 22, 3, 4, 5. It's 4 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in any case, the point being, it's like, no, it's adamantium. Like, ooh, adamantium, yeah, wow.
I did like the moment where they're like, finally we have an important mineral that's not controlled by an isolationist ethno state. I was like, finally, someone fucking taking those Wakandan assholes to task on this. Fuck those guys. Yeah, I'm sick of this bullshit of like everyone worshipping the feet of Wakanda. Yeah, like we it's at least nice that there's something else that they don't control because
and they created the suit for, the new Captain America, right? It's like, I don't know about that. Like, in terms of the, like, who knows, like, what kind of influence that would allow them to exert, like in that universe. Like, what happens if every time that Sam is in a room and he's wearing the suit, it's like recording conversations he's having with Ross or something, right? Like,
or they can take control of it and just make him like murder people randomly.
Yeah,
there's just no way.
If he goes against Wakanda, do they dismantle his vibranium powers? Like,
well, I mean, we saw what happened in Falcon and Winter Soldier, right? When they tried to kill John Walker and his buddy, and then when they were fighting against Sam and Bucky as well, they disabled Bucky's arm with like a secret move that he didn't even know about.
Yep.
That was fun rewatching Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I will never watch that again. I don't care what you pay me. I don't care what you threaten me with. I will never rewatch that shitty show again.
That's so
foul experience.
I think it's honestly probably the most mean-spirited Marvel show that they ever made. Legit, I think that movie is just filled. That show is just filled with hatred.
It is saying something, but I mean, it's kind of crazy how much that show essentially through ruining Sam and Bucky by making them people that they weren't before, essentially proves why neither of them should be Captain America and why it should have been John Walker. Dude coming in consistently, like helping them and receiving nothing in return, going into situations that are well beyond like what his capacity is, since he doesn't have the super soldier serum earlier on, like 3 medals of honor. And then like dropping the shield to save all of the politicians. It's like, I don't know, man. Like, he consistently proved like that he was a great guy, and it's like, no, you're the anti-hero, Captain America.
They stole
you
his
to be in
pension.
They did. They took his pension, and this was after they broke his arm and took the shield from him.
It's what's sad as well. Like, they've never known what to do with the Winter Soldier since probably Civil War. Ever since then, he's just been kind of hanging around, and they don't know what to do with him. They don't know what character arc they want to put him on. And it's such a fucking shame because he's like one of the coolest characters in the MCU.
Not anymore.
Why didn't they just make him like they did in the comics? He should have been the next Cap.
He should have been.
That's the obvious choice.
The Winter Soldier is an identity that needs to be shed. There was nothing wrong with being Falcon.
There had to be discussions that he was going to take over at some point in the distant future of the MCU, with how much it's foreshadowed in the MCU up to that point.
Well, and
Oh,
Winter
fuck
Soldier, you
that. No
remember
way.
when
Like,
the
the
shield?
MCU will be rebooted before he ever gets to take on the mantle.
Well, no,
Really?
of course. I'm saying that that's what they would have done, but their sensibilities changed.
Yeah.
I mean, you remember MauLer in the Winter Soldier when Bucky caught when the Winter Soldier caught actually.
People always
Cap's shield.
reference that. He picks up and uses the shield to defend Cap in
Yeah.
Cap 1.
Yep.
He grabs it in Winter Soldier, and then in Civil War, he uses it with Steve to take on Iron Man. Like that's just thorough.
It's everywhere.
Like, this guy's gonna end up with the shield eventually.
It's such a great example of like a franchise trying to force something that just doesn't feel natural, and like they're aware of it and they try to grapple with it, but like when they do highlight it, all it does is just make you think, you're right. This guy shouldn't be Captain America. Like the other guy should. Because like they actually have the Winter Soldier. Sorry, they have Bucky show up at one point just for like a 2-minute cameo, and like it's literally just there to reinforce the idea that Sam Wilson is the correct guy to be Captain America. He's the correct guy to have the shield now. But the justification is so fucking retarded. Like it just reinforces like, no, you're trying to force a square peg into a round hole here. Everyone knows it. Even the actors on set probably knew it. But we're all having to go along with it anyway because that's what the modern audience demands, I guess.
Well, did you catch Stringer when they were arresting him and he said, "You've already arrested one Captain America. Now you want another one?" Referencing Isaiah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep. Apparently, everyone could just be Captain America. Fuck it. It's like whatever.
Yeah, but that's Disney, Last Jedi. Everybody can be a Jedi.
For that one scene, they also give Bucky the cringiest line because he literally says, Steve Rogers gave people something to believe in. You give them something to aspire to, essentially saying he's a better Captain America than Steve ever was, which is just, we all know that Bucky doesn't believe that at all.
Well, yes, what we were talking about earlier. If the logic there is because Steve had the serum, no one could really, truly, like no human can see themselves becoming someone like that. But Sam, without the serum, it's like, oh shit, yeah, I could definitely become that. But it's like, you're just going to ignore all of the insane technology?
If you, with 10 years of special forces training and $1 billion worth of highly advanced technology, you can also be Captain America.
And then, of course, just completely misunderstanding that Steve's... The first film was explicit about this. It's not the serum that makes him special.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Bingo.
It makes good better. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, did you? I put in the private chat a link to
yes,
the rankings of all.
I think it's so funny as well because obviously you start at the top, right, and fucking surprise,
Wait,
Black Panther is right there at the top with 96% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, the first superhero film that was nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards, right?
It's definitely not, because every professional critic worth his salt was shit scared to criticize this movie in any way.
We saw that happen in real time. The first one to deliver not fresh because he didn't like the action scenes or whatever. They all went after him. They're like, you ruined the 100% rated of the Black Panther's run.
Yeah, when I did my review of this, I likened this to when Stalin would go up to deliver a speech in front of the Soviet Politburo, and everyone would carry on applauding him for like 15 minutes because nobody wanted to be the guy who would stop applauding first, and so they just kept going. And so that's what this is. It's terror. It's pure terror. Like everyone pretty much gave this movie 110% across the board.
For the record,
because they would never do otherwise.
Civil War was the better Black Panther movie.
Yep. Absolutely. He was awesome in that movie.
Mm-hmm. Second place was Avengers Endgame. That's another fucking bad choice.
Whatever. I don't know. That's goddamn. Like it really, a lot of the problems with the MCU now you can trace back to Endgame. That laid down a horrible foundation for them to go forward.
I would put Endgame down about 8 or 9.
I'd put it really low. Unfortunately, I think there's so much that's wrong with that film. Unfortunately,
it's like the signal of the complete and utter end.
Yeah, Infinity War was the real ending. High and low.
How is Shang-Chi in the top 10?
It's
absurd.
Well, the funny thing is that it might be, excluding No Way Home, the best Phase 4-5 MCU film because it's like a 3 out of 10.
What the hell?
But yeah, third place was Iron Man, which I can get behind that more. Like that's a fucking great movie. So I'm really happy with that. Thor Ragnarok was 4. Nah, it's not good.
It shouldn't be 4.
No.
This is literally just an aggregated list, by the way, from the Rotten Tomatoes score. So yeah, Thor Ragnarok is at 93%. Really?
Fucking hell! Wow,
it's not that good. Spider-Man: No Way Home, that's also at 93% actually. So
that
one's less surprising, though.
That's less surprising.
Yeah, it's a crowd pleaser. Yeah, Spider-Man: Homecoming, 92. I think that's pretty generous.
Nah, it's not. Wow, I mean,
it's a good movie. I wouldn't put it in like the
Oh well, bearing in mind that again, it feels like it's something we all have to remind ourselves that it's an aggregate based on how many people gave it a 6 out of 10 or above, not like the number score. Because if you told me it's like, oh, that's a 9 out of 10 movie, it's like, man, 9 out of 10, that's really high.
Yeah,
but, that's an underrated film.
But yeah, I'll skip down to the bottom here because that's what's actually relevant to this discussion. So we have got keeping it. So 35 in number 35, like the worst movie in the MCU is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania with 46%.
At number 5, you said, or is
35?
It
35.
Wait, so the worst one that's rated as the worst one.
Yeah, so I went right down to the worst of the worst here. So we're working our way up from the true dregs of human society. And then in 34th place is the Eternals with 47%.
Yeah, see, I found that one funny because like it's terrible, but like I don't know if I'd put it that low necessarily.
Well, the thing is, the Marvels is sitting at 62, which puts it in 32nd place. I would put that probably down. I'd put it above Quantumania, but below the Eternals. So I'd put that in 34th place, probably.
Same.
But yeah, anyway, Captain America: Brave New World, that's sitting at 51% at the moment, and that's at number 33. So it's the third worst rating movie in the MCU so far.
It's like, sorry, Multiverse of Madness is obviously worse than this film kind of can't even reach that level because it's not got multiverse shit in it.
It's not ambitious enough to even warrant that level of criticism. It's just a fairly self-contained disaster. But
I mean, it's terrible. Like, make no mistake, it is an awful movie, but they all are basically for the last 5 years. So it's kind of like, when you think about, because like Thor: Love and Thunder should be below this as well. Thor: Love and Thunder is definitely worse than this film.
Yes, I agree.
It's quite unique for Captain America to get a 51% as soon as the movie hits the ground running, because usually with these Marvel movies they're at like 80-70% and then they slowly depreciate in terms of the score. So yeah, I mean, if it's at 51%, go on.
I think the overall critical positivity or friendliness towards these movies has declined quite a bit in the past couple of years.
Agreed.
I'd say an unfortunate problem though, and I feel like it's going to be, if you ask me, oh, do you think Fantastic Four is going to be good? I'd be like, I don't see why it would really when there's been such a bad track record. But it almost feels like I can't remember. It had been mentioned before that I think Chris mentioned it that the sense is that this movie and Thunderbolts is get that shit out of the way because Fantastic Four is, that's like where a lot of attention is. And it feels like Fantastic Four, no matter what it ends up being, is just going to get reviewed well because there's more hype surrounding it. There's more positivity surrounding it as a film compared to this one.
What do you reckon, Chris?
Captain Marvel is a little too high on the list. Should be lower.
I think so. Yeah. Where is it actually? Yeah.
It's 21.
Oh wow.
I mean, it's around the midpoint.
That's too high.
That's too high though. Still,
I would put it like high 20s probably. Like,
what does it beat
worse,
out?
It's worse than Thor for sure, and it's worse than Age of Ultron.
I still can't believe
definitely. In fact, it's definitely worse than Iron Man 2. Like
it's worse than Iron Man 2 for sure.
Yeah. It actually pisses me off how much hate Iron Man 2 gets at this point. Like, I feel like that movie's so unfairly slandered now.
Iron Man 3.
So someone in chat was saying like we should compile our. If we had time, I would honestly love to work our way through the list and reorder it based on what we think should be like top to bottom. But that's a whole other live stream right there.
Yeah,
I still
We'll
think
do it.
Shang-Chi is too high. Number 7. Come on.
Shang-Chi sucked.
I know.
And it's so fucking funny that people still spin it as a win. It got like $400 million and it cost about 200 million to make. That movie was a fucking flop. Now, I will acknowledge for sure the COVID pandemic was still a factor. I think some cinemas were not at peak attendance and stuff, so that probably hurt their takings, but it wouldn't have changed the fact that that was not a successful movie.
It also didn't get released in China because of some comments that Simu Liu made about China, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Is Captain America Brave New World getting released in China? Because I saw a post where they didn't show him. I was like, okay.
I don't think it's going to play well in China for precisely that reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess this brings to mind the question of like, what is this going to do for Marvel's 2025? So this movie is probably going to flop. Thunderbolts is probably going to flop because no one gives a shit about it. So that leaves Fantastic Four. Okay, so
I think I've heard Thunderbolts is actually entertaining. It's actually fun. So it could surprise people, and there is zero expectations with that film. So I don't know. It's their version of Suicide Squad.
Did they put some of the best jokes in the trailer?
Absolutely, I'm sure they did.
Oh,
well, we're fucked then.
Well, then, damn, yeah. It's been weird seeing people kind of like. Feels like you see on Twitter people talking and trying to hype it up, like, "Oh man, these trailers are getting better and better." It's like, are they? Are they getting better and better?
None of them get me excited for what I'm about to see. Like the Superman trailer for DC, like got a little bit of interest from me, but that was about it. Like these Marvel trailers, like nothing. Probably Fantastic Four was the best of the bunch, and that was like, oh, I like the 1960s aesthetic. I guess that's kind of cool.
But
That's
what's that writing going to be? That script, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
but then it makes me think as well, like, so say you've got this movie, which is going to flop probably, and it's going to hurt their brand. Thunderbolts, probably not going to do great either. Regardless of its quality, I just don't think the interest is there for it because there's nobody in the lineup that anyone's particularly excited about. So you've essentially got Fantastic Four sandwiched between these two flops. Like, is that just going to hurt its chances by itself? And the fact that it's going to go head to head with Superman.
But that's exactly why I was saying I didn't think it was a good idea to release these two before that. If you wanted to reset everything,
I kind of agree in that if you're coming off the back of say Deadpool and Wolverine, you've got a little bit of momentum there. Okay, throw your best, your best efforts at it. And give us Fantastic Four right off the bat. Like, then you're given a pretty good tentpole movie, theoretically at least, falling off the back of like a really successful, like crowd-pleasing film.
Right.
Something I think is worth considering as well is that the TV shows as well will probably have an impact on how people like. If Daredevil comes out and it ends up being a disappointment, I don't see how that doesn't hurt anything that they do, right? Because it's like one of the holding out hope for kind of projects for a lot of people, I think. And if it ends up being bad, it'll be like, yep, and that's what Marvel does, kind of ruins everything. So
I mean, I think I think I'm cautiously optimistic, but if it was to be bad, I don't think the crossover is as big as you think between like TV audiences for Disney Plus and like general audiences at the cinema. I think a lot of people who just go to the cinema to see Marvel movies are kind of oblivious to the TV shows on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're probably right about that. I suppose I wonder in the sense that if part of what's going to help Fantastic Four is the sense of disconnection from like the MCU, with the retro future, like setting it in a different universe and stuff like that. I just wonder, I guess, like how, films or TV shows coming out being bad, particularly ones that people have expectations for, if that affects the film that they have expectations for. But it may well be that the audience doesn't have as much overlap as I'm expecting.
Especially now that they lost Fringy, what, another 700? They lost 700,000 subscribers after the price.
Yeah, it's a weird thing because like their profits went up slightly, but that's just because they hiked up the prices. And it's like, well, okay, you could play that game all day, you know, make your subscription like $1,000 a month. Okay, some people will still pay it, but like
we got 5 people.
Yeah, totally. Like that's the weird game you can play. But like ultimately, if you're losing subscribers, particularly 700,000, that's not an inconsiderate number. That is bad. You know,
it's
bad,
it's a small
trajectory.
portion of the total base, but the problem is that if you're not growing, then that's a bad sign. If you're not growing and you're even shrinking, even if it's by a little bit, that's not a good sign for the future of that platform.
Because they need to be growing massively. They wanted to be the new Netflix.
Well, yeah. Has anybody heard anything good about Fantastic Four behind the scenes?
I've heard nothing, actually. Nothing good or bad.
I'm tired of Pedro Pascal, I will say that. I did like the trailer, a lot of it. I liked the way Thing looked. I really liked the way it looked. And but I didn't like the voice. I thought they didn't nail the voice on it.
What I guess what I want, and like I think Fringy alluded to it there, is the idea that it's disconnected from the rest of the MCU, so it's not shackled to all this stupid overarching storyline. It's not controlled by the blip and all that crap. It's starting afresh,
that'd be good,
which I think people kind of want. But ultimately, I think they're in just some alternate universe or something, and they're probably going to have to be brought over to our MCU Prime universe, whatever it's called. And you're going to lose all of that anyway. It's just going to be brought into the fold.
Fundamentally, the more important part in terms of what people would be speaking to about starting fresh is that there is a different methodology of making these films. And I don't know if we'd say that would manifest. I mean, short post-production window, written by or directed by one of the people who worked on, WandaVision. So it's like from a Phase 4 project. Is there any understanding or appreciation, like in terms of making these films, that the scripts is as important as that it is an important part of the film, that it's worthwhile for the story to make sense, and that the characters go on arcs? These sorts of problems need to be addressed. Just having it be retro-futuristic 1960s, that I don't know how much that won't be enough. I don't think if the writing hasn't actually improved, or if the process of making the film hasn't improved.
The whole thing made me weirdly nostalgic for like the 2000s Fantastic Four movies. I don't know why. It just almost made me think, I remember when like superhero movies were young and like new and interesting and kind of cool. Yeah, fresh. Like that was it. Like it was this whole new genre that we hadn't really gotten up until that point. Yeah, we'd had like the Superman movies and stuff and the Batman movies, but not on a wider scale. And this was like the dawn of a new era, and I don't know, I kind of miss that time.
I do. Blade. Oh God, the Blade.
Yeah.
And then you get Josh Trank. Well, then you get Josh Trank's Fantastic Four, and everything's shit the bed.
Yeah, I mean that was a rights retainer more than anything, and wow, yeah, they fucked that one up pretty big time. Yeah, here we are 10 years later, and we've got.
By the way, what the hell ever happened to Blade? Was it finally canceled? The Blade series, the one with Mahershala Ali, because I think he's a great actor, but it just disappeared.
I don't think it's been officially cancelled, but he seems to have lost interest in doing it, and they've not said anything more about it for quite some time. I think that they will do another Blade movie at some point. They're going to want to have that character there because he is cool as fuck, and if they can find a way to do him correctly, they will make a ton of money from him.
Oh yeah, I mean, you saw the fan reaction when they saw in Deadpool and Wolverine with, Wesley Snipes.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
I've said this before. Like, if they decided to make Blade 4 and it's like an older Blade who's like maybe going on one last mission, whatever, that would make plenty of money for them. It would be big success, and then they can reboot it. Because like the whole the Blade franchise just kind of like stopped. It didn't really have a definitive ending or anything, and I think people want that. And Wesley Snipes is probably still just young enough to get away with it. He could probably do it physically.
Oh, he was great. There's only one Blade.
Yeah. That got such a pop in my cinema, and like British people don't normally like do anything when they're watching stuff, but like that was like, yeah, I got a few cheers.
Hell yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. How about we do a few super chats?
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Let's see if we can answer these. Let's see. There's a few that came in before I can bring them up on screen, so I will just do that instead. So, John Gates says, thoughts on the state of play. Several games from Chinese developers look cool, and the Onimusha remaster and new Onimusha got me hyped. Why does Sonic need a car to race, though? He's already fast. That's a pretty good point, actually.
The rules. You got
Yeah.
it.
I didn't watch the state of play recap, so I don't know. But
I did. I watched it. I wasn't very
what's your thoughts?
I don't know. It's just not very interesting, really. I didn't find any of the games particularly interesting.
Did you see the Onimusha announcement?
Oh, well, I saw that. That kind of looks cool. That game, yeah, that one kind of looked all right. But there wasn't a whole lot though. MauLer, there was a Lies of P, like I think prequel DLC. I know you like that game.
I've been waiting for that for a while. It'll be fun. Lies of P is good shit.
Nice.
And they remastered Days Gone, which is kind of funny to me. Like that's like bizarre. I find that strange because it was kind of like a big thing that there was meant to be a sequel and it didn't happen. It's like, yeah, but we'll remaster it for PlayStation 5. Like,
why? Like the original was really good.
And it sold well. That's like the relevant part. It sold well, and so I'm not sure why it didn't get a sequel.
Yeah, and like I don't look at it and think, oh man, the graphics are really lacking here. I wish they would give you a remaster for it. It looked fine.
Yeah, it's a bit silly. The game's only like 4 or 5 years old. Why you got to remaster it?
Yeah,
anything but Bloodborne, as someone's pointed out in chat. no Bloodborne PlayStation 5 port.
Yeah, like I get like remastering the Tomb Raider games or something, like stuff that's really old and like it would benefit from a bit of a graphical polish, but like, yeah, that is just, I don't care.
Oh, really,
okay.
Drinker? Did you see Yui Bowles a few weeks ago is doing a Dark Knight movie? It's called The Dark Knight, The Vigilante. He's doing it with the actor, the one who they said was a cannibal.
Army Hammer.
Oh, Army Hammer.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's playing the vigilante. The movie is called Dark Knight.
Is this meant to be Army's comeback? Working with Yui Bowl. I honestly didn't think Yui Bowl was still making movies at this point.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the Accountant 2 trailer came out a few hours ago.
Is Ben Affleck still in it?
Yep. With Ben Affleck still in it.
Is that the one where autism makes him Batman?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It's always funny when movies portray autism as like you're always super intelligent, like you're basically like a thinking machine, like rather than just like, hey, I'm just a normal person.
Well, and then
sometimes they struggle with social cues, like that's
they make them a little awkward with people. They're like, oh man, yeah, I can't make eye contact, something like that. You're like, oh okay.
It's so you don't put too much strain on the actor, like never go full retard, all that sort of thing. Chucksenhausen gave $50, so thank you, sir. Says Cobra Kai finale today. Can't wait for your review on the series. Hope you invite Dark Hour, Northern English Bastard, Blue Collar Loser, Lord of Toxicity, Jeremy, RRTNZ, and Tom from Midnight's Edge for a Hash Brown Legendary open bar discussion. I can absolutely do that. Give me a chance to watch it, and I will bring all of those guys on if they're available, and we can talk about it to your heart's content. But yeah, I'll make sure to bring you on as well, mate. Dave says, took an ancestry DNA test and found that I have a half sibling I never knew existed and that I'm 20% Scottish. I don't know which is more alarming, but either way, I'm having a drink. I would definitely recommend that. Finding out that you're half Scottish is like finding out that you've got a disability or something. My condolences, man. Dennis Kriegard has joined the Fellowship of the Drink, so welcome aboard. Thumbs Up 1981 says, can anyone on the panel tell me where this shield came from? Thanos hacked it apart in Endgame. First MCU film that I'm skipping. Marvel's and Disney Plus blew it. Yeah, that's a good question, actually. Didn't Thanos destroy Cap's
It's
shield?
vibranium, so the fucking Wakandans probably did it.
Wait,
it healed up.
Wait a minute. He brought it back. Cap brought it back.
In time, right?
Yeah, the old man Cap.
From the
What happened to the broken one?
I don't know.
No one cares.
This is
Thanos
it's not.
used it as part of the 3 seashells from Demolition Man.
Fortunate Glory says, was an honor to meet you in person last weekend at MegaCon. It was our first meetup. My wife and I appreciate your enthusiasm for your fans. Worth every penny making the trip from Chicago. No distance is too great to meet the drinker. Thank you, man. And I can't believe you came all that way from Chicago. But yeah, it was awesome to meet so many people. So appreciate it, man. Thank you. Benzilla says, Jurassic Park, will it follow the Friday the 13th path or will it go full-on Leprechaun? Basically, do we get dinos in the hood before or after dinos in space? What do you reckon, chaps? I want to see dinos trying to integrate into our inner city urban environments.
I want a dino with a Friday the 13th mask.
Yeah.
No, wait, wasn't there a picture a month or two ago? I don't know if that was AI, but it was on Cosmic Book News and a couple other comic sites where they showed Scarlett Johansson. Like, this is a pic from the new Jurassic Park where she turns into a.
That was just AI.
Okay.
Yeah, so don't worry.
I want to see ICE go after undocumented dinos. I think that would be they're coming over the southern border.
Yeah,
you do not belong.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're harboring dinosaurs underneath your floorboards, are you not? Okay. Next one is Nikos says the people who are going to defend G20 are going to capture it. Going to compare it to Air Force One, saying, "Well, Harrison Ford was 50 years old and he did it. Air Force One is a bit cheesy, but it's still good." What are your thoughts? I think it's still good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Harrison Ford wasn't ex-Special Forces in Air Force One, and he wasn't taking down like multiple terrorists in hand-to-hand combat, was he?
No, he's pretty clumsy in that movie.
Yeah, he was, but they also didn't cast people who looked like sides of beef that lifted tanks for breakfast. They were just terrorists with their guns. It was Gary Oldman, if I remember, was the leader.
Just an old-fashioned terrorist without all the steroids.
Yeah, right, pretty much.
Not too much to ask for. Yeah. Crimson Ghost says, what's the first instance that anyone can recall where a piece of writing was so awful that it made you actually howl out loud in laughter while witnessing it?
That's a good question. Because one of the earliest memories I have of being like someone wrote that and then they filmed it and that's horrible was Alien 3.
Yeah.
But it wasn't funny.
It made me do a sad.
Good question. I don't know.
Because anything with Rachel Ziegler.
Well, the thing is, like, I suppose once you get into doing what we do, you're more focused on it and you're more aware of that stuff because you kind of think like, when I see it, I'm going to make a mental note of it, and then it stands out to you a lot more.
Well, we're going way further back than any of this. I was already.
Well, I know, but like, I guess like you're more
Michael Bay movie or something, maybe.
Yeah, probably, or like Batman and Robin with the.
I tell you, one bit that always did make me laugh was in Con Air, right? When at the end when they're doing the fire truck chase and like Cyrus the virus gets like thrown. How do I even describe this, right? He gets thrown through an overhead bridge while attached to like a fire ladder on a fire truck. And it somehow teleports him into like a construction yard where he like falls onto a conveyor belt and then gets like a pneumatic compressor thing that just lands on his head. And I just remember laughing at that. Like, how did any of that happen?
Wasn't that like Cobra? Stallone had a scene like that in Cobra. There was lots of stuff like that. Tango Cash, Cobra, Con Air.
Yeah, I'm feeling like it would have been like in an 80s or 90s like bombastic action movie where something silly happens that's just like absurd. I'm trying to think of what it would have been.
I think it even happened in Commando with Schwarzenegger.
Commando had lots of moments like that.
Intentionally, a lot of the time, I would say.
It's like stick around, and he like stabs.
Well,
well, that's Predator.
Well, that's Predator, yeah.
I think I've let off some steam, Bennett. That shit's fucking hilarious.
When he throws a fucking steam pipe right through Bennett and the boiler behind him.
Out of it.
Or then he did Red Heat, if I remember.
Yes, he did. Yeah,
Red Heat. Yeah. Wow. There's lots of great lines.
I want to see what chat's saying about this. Put the bunny back in the box. It's all just Con Air quotes now. Nick Cage's accent in Con Air is atrocious.
Yeah.
Wait, didn't The Rock have a scene also where Nick Cage didn't he like launch somebody on one of the rockets?
No, that was True Lies, wasn't it?
Was it True
The
Lies?
Rock, right?
The Rock was.
Oh no, The Rock, yeah, as well.
They were dismantling him, and one guy got in the way, and he shot him and took off.
Yeah, because he's like, "Do you like the Elton John song Rocket Man?"
Yes.
I don't like soft ass shit. Well, it's just because it's you. You're the Rocket Man.
It feels very clunky, and then he does the thing, and you're like, "Oh, okay."
It's pretty good. Pretty good. I did like the line from Commando as well. Don't disturb my friend. He's dead tired.
Yeah.
What's the next question for us here? Blue Collar Loser says, Chris showed an AI trailer for Cap 4. It looked better than the actual film. Cobra Kai is ending, and it's been one hell of a journey. Yet, you suck. Brutal.
Love you too, BCL.
What was the AI trailer for Captain America 4?
It was a cheesy trailer someone sent us, and we reacted to it. So
okay.
I can find it if you want to watch it.
While you're looking, I'll do a few more. RRTNZ says, if Chuck Norris was Captain America, wouldn't need a shield as his chest hair is stronger than vibranium itself, and he'd make Red Hulk sit in the angry chair and calm down. Chuck Norris doesn't beat up old people. That's fair. I think that's fair. Reno the Turk says, open bar plushies of Drinker and MauLer in dino suits. Why haven't we done that already, MauLer?
I don't know.
Settling the great dinosaur debate, like with plushies.
Well, so mine would be like a T-Rex, and then yours would be a tricked out fucking space vampire dinosaur with rockets
with lasers on its head. Yeah. And you can just then make them fight each other. Silly Agibi says, out of all of the Phase 4 MCU movies, which one is the most disappointing and why? I'm asking the entire panel for their opinions on this one. Love you all.
Phase 4 and 5.
Phase 4, I think they said, right?
Just Phase 4, yeah.
Eternals.
That was disappointing to you?
It was horrible.
It was shit. I wouldn't say it was disappointing.
A lot of it. That's the thing. Did you expect?
I don't know. I remember what was his name. One of the actors was at a red carpet premiere in El Capitan Theater. I used the video. It was the second movie I ever reviewed, and he was like, "Do you know this movie is going to actually save the world? People will be healed." And I was like, I had high expectations.
Pretty cool.
I didn't expect him.
For me, it would be Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, because after the death of Tony Stark, there was a lot of hype about Doctor Strange taking his place and leading the next phases of the MCU, but that movie undid any chance of that happening.
Yeah,
it's a fair one. I mean, Black Widow somewhat for me because it did so much damage in retrospect to the character. It's abysmal as a film, and like it was 2 phases too late sort of thing. It feels like it was wrong for all of the reasons. The thing is, I don't think any of these films disappointed me. I just the Black Widow movie could have been a hell of a lot better, and it just harkens to all of their stupid mistakes across the way they built the MCU and how everything's like built on insecurities. The fact that they would have like rushed out an interest in female characters just because of Wonder Woman, it's like, you guys fucking suck.
If it's just movies, Black Widow probably is especially because it was early enough that was back when there was still kind of expectations for like Marvel movies. Because even though I think Multiverse of Madness probably was worse than I was expecting it to be, And so that makes a lot of sense as a pick. I also think I was already kind of done by that point.
A little bit.
So it wasn't like much further it could go down. If we were including TV shows, it would be WandaVision, because like that was severely disappointing, especially as it wound down to the end.
Yeah, for sure. Chris has managed to find this.
What? Oh yeah, I found it. Yeah, it's in the private chat. You want to?
Oh, though, interestingly, it doesn't seem to open.
You might want to. Really?
Yeah, it says
Video
unavailable.
Oh,
It's been privated, I'm afraid.
oh, okay, all right.
I am sorry.
Sorry about that. That was the link I was sent.
That is okay.
We forgive you.
Yeah. The next one is City Boy. That thumbnail face. I should have taken the serum. Yeah, you should.
They never present a reason why you shouldn't.
I know. Like, at least you can say, like, well, okay, if you take it, you know, there's a price that you have to pay. You know, it could take you off in a bad direction. Like, it can amplify the negative aspects of your personality. That's something.
Can I share something from Robert Meyer Burnett's X account? He just shared this image. Starfleet Academy just wrapped filming. What does this tell you?
I still can't believe Paul Giamatti is in it.
This is what Star Trek is now.
Yeah.
Buckle up, boys. MauLer, hey, let me ask you a question, right?
No.
Having watched the original Star Trek series, which you've seen most of now, and having watched the movies with the original crew, and like, you've got a good feel for what Star Trek is, like how Starfleet conducts themselves. What about what you see here makes you think, yeah, this is definitely Star Trek?
It would have come right after Wrath of Khan, right? It fits right in. Like,
sure, yeah.
All right.
It looks like a retarded Nickelodeon show. It really does.
It really does, yeah.
Yeah.
Meet the window.
Girls just want to have fun, you guys.
Holy crap.
Jesus.
Except without the fun, yeah.
Robert said, I can't even. And that was his comment. That's it.
I still
What's with
can't
the girl
believe
on the
how-
left? Did someone put her face in a fucking vice or something? Like,
That's horrifying.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Bad.
meth face right there.
And haven't they signed it, Chris, for 2 seasons, if I remember? It's like already been renewed for the second
I don't
one.
know. I'm so checked out on
They wanted to do it before the Skydance deal closed, by what I had read. So it's nuts. It's nuts. I just started watching SG1 again.
Nice. That was a good time. Bisected Tuscan Raider Child says, at one point, New Falcon says they have all of this genetic data, and Sam fucking responds, "Come on, words that don't require a dictionary, please." That's true. Yep.
that is a line. Yeah, it's embarrassing, and it's clearly a reshoot as well. The way it cuts to him is like really close. And it's like, we got to have more funny in there. Make it funny. He said genetic. You don't know what genetic means, Falcon.
Give us the Marvel humor, please. Like a retarded version of Joss Whedon. Elsie Le Pen says, "Hail Open Bar. Mortal Kombat 2 released a poster featuring Carl Urban as Johnny Cage. Your thoughts on the casting and expectations of Mortal Kombat 2 as a whole?"
I feel like Carl Urban could knock it out of the park, or it could be awkward. I don't know. We'll have to see. I trust in him, though.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of enjoyed the first Mortal Kombat movie. It was dumb as fuck, but it was violent, and that's what I hope for. So I'm okay with that.
I just hopefully, as long as the film recognizes like that they needed to focus on the fun characters rather than their lame OC that they added in, because like Kano was the best part of that movie, not the new guy who fought against Goro and won. It's like, yeah, that guy was lame, and then him joining in on the Scorpion Sub-Zero fight. Like, do you mind like moving out of the way, please? I'm not interested in you.
Next one is Elsie Le Pen. Since Fringy's here, I recently learned that Milhouse's voice actor retired from The Simpsons. In remembrance, what's everyone's favorite Milhouse gags?
Well, I mean, straight away, it's technically not Milhouse himself, but it's a Milhouse gag. It's the The episode of the Treehouse of Horror where the teachers are eating the kids and they're trying to sneak past Edna's room, and they show that she's reading a book called The Joy of Cooking Millhouse.
That's great.
That's kind of funny because in that episode, right, like, you know, when they're pushed up and the blender's there, and it's like someone will save us, and then Millhouse slips in and falls in. Well, something will save the Simpsons children.
I always like the episode where Bart gets done for shoplifting, right? And it's because he wants a new video game, and Millhouse has got it, right? And it's like Bone Storm 3 or something. And Millhouse is playing it, and he's like, "Oh, I get to give my own character his name, Thrill House," and that you see it on screen. There's not enough space, so it's just like Thrill Hole.
Thinking of the one where he sold his soul to Millhouse, and you know he's playing with the toy soldiers, like, "We're going after Bart's soul," shooting at it, and Bart's looking there like cringing, and then he gets it like, "If the Ayatollah can't have it, no one can." Running the tank over the soul. Millhouse, yes. You're getting pretty tired of that soul, aren't you? No.
Yeah, he's brutal with Bart's soul.
And then he sold it for Pogs.
Yeah, isn't it like Alf Pogs or something?
Yeah,
you remember Alf from the 80s? He's back in Pog form.
And then Millhouse's dad, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up.
Yeah, because
he's trying to sleep.
His parents are constantly in the process of divorce, basically. Simpsons was pretty funny.
So that's it then. After 12 years, so long, good luck. I don't remember saying good luck. He gets fired from... Damn, where did he work? Was it the... Where did Millhouse?
It was the Cracker Factory.
Yes, that's right.
My dad's a pretty big wheel there, I'll have you know. But Bob the Lobster, he gifted 5 Critical Drinker memberships, so thank you, sir. 5 people have joined the Fellowship of the Drink. Craig the Bad Guy says, Fat Person of the Week, Wayne Knight, favorite movie / roles. Wayne Knight, who's that?
Jurassic Park, Space Jam.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like Dennis Nedry.
That's the one.
Yeah, he was pretty fat.
He was. Do you remember in Space Jam? One of the gags I love is like, obviously, he gets sucked out into the fucking thing and into the Toon World, and Wayne Knight sees that. It's the most baffling thing ever, right? In terms of like a CG thing, just getting sucked. But then the next time we see him, he's digging up the entire golf course, trying to get him through the. Like he's creating loads of craters throughout the whole thing, trying to find him.
I'm going to go down the semi-serious route, right, and say Edgar from 24 was my favorite fat guy of the week, because there's there's a plot in one of the seasons, right, where terrorists release nerve gas into like CTU headquarters, right, and so it filters through the ventilation system, right, so there's a few rooms that they can run to that are hermetically sealed, so they can get in there and they'll be safe. And Edgar, because he's so fat, he can't run there quickly enough, and he gets caught out in the main area and just keels over and dies because of that. And that's a cautionary tale right there. It was sad, but it was also
if you don't lose
inspirational.
enough weight, then you'll die to nerve gas.
Yeah, exactly. You never know, Fringy. You never know when you might have to run quickly. To
that was season 5 of that was a cool season of television. 24 season 5.
Yeah,
that was because that was the next episode. Samwise, he saved the day. He was playing like a hostile supervisor of CTU, and then it was like he was the only one who could save everybody else.
Yeah, it was almost like they did quite an interesting bit of characterization with him, where he was kind of an asshole and kind of like awkward with people, but like he really knew his stuff. And then when it came down to it, he actually was willing to sacrifice his life to save everyone. Which is 24
was pretty good at doing that sort of character drama, even if like the plot could sometimes get ridiculous at times. It's like they knew that they needed to give characters, you know, payoffs, and even if you set them up as antagonistic, that you can put them in a situation where they can do something really heroic and come through, and you know, and everybody gets a bit emotional about it.
I think my favorite was Mason in season 2. He gets exposed to like radiation, so he's basically dying of radiation poisoning, but he keeps it hidden from everyone because he really wants to like make an impact and do his job. throughout the season, and like this is a guy who was a total dick in the previous season. Like now he's like totally invested in what he's doing, and I just thought that was really cool what they did with him.
No, it's cool. They gave him a scene with his estranged son, you know, like to say farewell, and then have him be the one who flies the nuke over to like a safe distance so that Jack can continue to be doing. No spoil. It came out 20 years ago, all right?
I think we're safe now. But yeah, if you haven't watched 24, it's really, really fucking good. We used to make good shows like that. Ginger Adventure says, Scotch or bourbon, Ray-Bans or aviators, how do you choose? I would always choose Scotch over bourbon, frankly. But Ray-Bans or aviators, they're the same thing, aren't they? You get Ray-Ban aviators.
Well,
I'm pretty sure. So, yeah. And take it from a guy who knows. I'm literally wearing them. I would choose Scotch over bourbon.
Likewise.
Stephen DeLeon says latent gay. Sorry, but not gay. It's all right. Will Dreamer says if you could delete Disney Star Wars, but at the cost of losing one film from the original trilogy, would you do it? If so, which film would you choose to sacrifice? I think that's probably worth it, by the way.
This is dangerous. Very, very dangerous.
I know.
Return of the Jedi would have to be.
And Return of the Jedi.
I think we'd all sacrifice that if we had to.
I don't think you can kill any of the three of them. It like fundamentally changes Star Wars forever if you kill any of those three movies.
Yeah.
Could you imagine a world where they only made like
what the fuck?
A New Hope and then an Empire, and it's like, well, I don't know where this is going to go. We'll never find out.
We can't be erasing Return of the Jedi. We can't do that.
How about just the Ewoks? Just the Ewoks.
Because hypothetically, I guess it's the option is always open to do Return of the Jedi.
But you'd get rid of you'd get rid of the Last Jedi and Force Awakens and Skywalker.
Just for them to make more shitty films.
Come on, anything is worth to get rid of Book of Boba Fett and Lizzo and Jack Black. Come on. Right.
They'll come back.
Yeah, like so think about this, right? You're getting rid of the Acolyte, you're getting rid of like Obi-Wan, Kenobi, Boba Fett, Ahsoka.
You say this like they wouldn't make more bad stuff, and now we would be down more good stuff.
We'd be down one.
Well, I don't know.
Good stuff. You say one. What are the consequences of erasing the Jedi from history?
Yeah, but they're talking about erasing Disney Star Wars, so potentially, like, there's never going to be another Star Wars thing made by Disney.
Chris, you got to agree with this, right? Killing Return of the Jedi would have incredible consequences on the history of cinema.
Yes, it would. Even though I have a lot of problems with that film. A lot.
Yeah.
Same.
No, I don't want to lose it. I just feel like, is it worth it to get rid of all this other garbage?
They'll just make more garbage anyway.
And then I think that's.
If you're seeing what's going on with Shatner right now on Twitter, let me share something. You got to see this.
Is it the Luke Gay thing?
Yes, it is.
The Luke Gay thing.
How is it? This stems from an article from like 2017 or something.
It's so good.
All right, hold on.
How Shatner responds. So,
because Shatner doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, he doesn't.
All right, let's see if I can just share screen so you can all see it. All right, boom. Okay,
I'm excited now for the gay.
For the extreme gay. All right, so you can see it. Infinity. Right, Shatner. For those Star Wars fans who are trying to tell me that Disney ruined everything, I assume you're referring to Mara Jade. Hamill actually ruined it for you when he revealed that Luke was gay. Mara being struck from Star Wars canon was part of her annulment agreement from the Force. Okay.
And it's some Vanity Fair article where Mark Hamill says, of course Luke is gay.
When did this come out?
This is old as fuck. This is from 2016.
Right.
And to be fair, it's a misrepresentation of what he said, because he was like, if it makes you feel better and it validates your existence or whatever stupid thing, Luke was gay. Sure, let's go with that. That's what he was basically saying. It was non-denominational, I suppose. But like, I don't know why it suddenly resurfaced and everyone's suddenly focusing on again. It's weird.
Yeah.
Whiskey Cardinal West says, blessed is the Holy Spirit bourbon. I'll drink to that. Thank you.
It seems
Connor
like It seems like Hamill restarted it because it seems like he restarted a lot of this because he was bitching about Trump.
Right.
Oh, probably. It's like literally the only thing he does now. It's like the only reason why he exists. Connor Brown says, love you guys. Started watching EFAT from the beginning a few days ago, and all the TLJ dunking made me go back into Star Wars 1 to 6. Thanks, MauLer.
Yeah, we did a coverage of the sequels recently for the first time in fucking what feels like ages, and it was kind of nostalgic, like watching someone with a new video talking about how the sequels are amazing. Actually, got some classic arguments, got some ones you've never ever fucking expect to hear. Like Rey was the first time we saw someone in live action dealing with the temptation of the dark side.
Oh,
what?
I would love to be able to speak with that much authority on something that I clearly knew nothing about. I loved your guys' coverage on Movie Bob, by the way. Like, I know you've started putting clips. And it's like the bit when it's like total humiliation with like the Lindsay Ellis stuff.
Oh yeah, it's rough, man.
It's when I think MauLer, you were just like, "Stop it, he's dead already." She just did not let up with that shit. Cole Hauser says, great meeting you at MegaCon, Drinker. Hi, MauLer. It was great meeting you, man. Thank you. Yeah, when you introduced yourself and you told me what your username was, I was like, yeah, I fucking know you. Awesome, man. Yeah, you were great all weekend.
Also, hi.
Jamaican Bacon says, hail, Drinker. You didn't appear to get shit-faced at the meetup. Our local booze not to your liking. I didn't get as shit-faced as you might think, because I learned from the previous meetup where I couldn't even remember the rest of the night. So I tried to avoid that. But I was on beer most of the night. But it was kind of funny because I think it was X-Ray Girl said to me at like maybe 11:30, midnight, maybe. Jeremy's gone to like the private room. Like if you want to like go there for a bit, just for a break. I was like, okay, sure, I'll go there. And it went in. She led me in there, and it was just a fucking cupboard. Like all it was just like cleaning supplies and shit. And Jeremy was just standing in there. I was like, okay, this is weird.
Weird.
I mean, yeah, we all needed a break by a certain point in the night because yeah, there was a lot of people that wanted to say hi and meet us and stuff. And yeah, after about 4 hours of that, you do get a bit tired. But yeah, it was just kind of funny. Dennis Kiergaard says, finally became a member. So glad to be here for the whole stream. Got the vodka lined up, so let's rock and roll. Nice. I like that. What's the next one? Yeah, we did the G20 reaction there. John Hansen says, hail, Drinker and MauLer. I know Gary loves Judas Priest, but Iron Maiden is the metal goat. Am I right? Priest is top tier too.
Well,
MauLer, you know more about metal than I do.
I love Iron Maiden, but I prefer sort of edging towards symphonic metal. But yeah, Judas Priest and Iron Maiden, that's probably an age-old battle for a lot of metal fans of who ends up on top. Who knows? I should talk to Gary more about metal stuff.
Yeah.
Not to be mixed up with Metal Commander. We talk about him plenty.
Yeah, we're always talking about him. God, can't wait to kill him. Anyway, Cuban says, thanks for the selfie and conversation at the meetup, Drinker. So how much for the kidnap MauLer fund for the next year's MegaCon? We need to get the long man in the club. I know, I keep saying to it every time we talk. We need to get MauLer to a con. I can't make him do it. It's whether I can summon up the supernatural power to summon an eldritch god at the con. I don't know. Are you guys ready for that? Yeah. The Manatees says, hail, Drinker, MauLer, and panel. Drinker, thanks for saying hello and giving me a fist bump when I was walking out of the bathroom at Red Coconut in Orlando. I do not remember that in the slightest. I swear I wash my hands. Please come back to MegaCon. Cheers. Well, do not worry. I will be back there next year, I'm sure, because MegaCon is a lot of fun. Turbo Topology says, you are tasked with casting Boogie 2988 in a movie. Or, sorry, we want to do a movie about him. Who would you cast as Boogie? Thank you for your fine work, lads, and Don the bless you. So,
Brendan Gleeson.
Yeah, Brent in the makeup from the whale. That's perfect.
Because
That's perfect.
would you want Brendan Fraser?
Brendan Fraser is too good of a soul to play such a demon.
I was gonna say put Christian Bale in a fat suit.
Christian Bale would insist on like actually gaining the weight himself.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't mind putting on weight, so I find that pretty funny. Yeah.
Do you know what's wild? Christian Bale and Boogie are almost the same age.
Oh, I didn't even know that. But I guess
Boogie's 50, right?
Yeah, they're like a year apart.
Yeah, shit. I guess that. I mean, that feels like again, Christian Bale, get him to commit to the role, put on what, like an extra 100 kilograms.
Yeah, don't be a
kind of like what
coward,
MauLer
Bale.
says. Like, I would almost feel bad about inflicting the Boogie character on any actor.
It's
because I feel like say they were like kind of a method actor. It's like, well, I need to like immerse myself in this role. I feel like they would actually just lose their mind and just like they would just be done as a human being. I don't think anyone's ready for Boogie.
How do you prepare for a role like that? Yeah.
You imagine if you said to them like, "Hey, just spend like a month with this guy so you understand his mindset, his habits." He would just quit immediately.
That would be
horrible. Obsidian Mug, thanks for recommending Kelly's Heroes. Did you know that they made a modern day one where they try to get Nazi gold from NATO? It's not a remake, but it has the same premise. It's on Netflix. How are you going to get Nazi gold from NATO?
Interesting.
Everyone's got some Nazi gold.
Didn't they just remake The Amateur?
Probably.
I saw a trailer that just came out for it.
They've remade everything.
With Remy Malek. Yeah.
What's this one? Redosaurus says, why is it that unless we count Godzilla franchise, why don't we have more non-Jurassic Park dinosaur movies? Case in point, the original film version of where's your next one? The Lost World will be 100 years old next week, and it's still the best movie version by default. Shouldn't we have a second good one by now? Well, there's a question for the panel. Why haven't we had more good dinosaur movies? I guess is the question.
I guess it's just like Jurassic's got the market, so there's no point in trying or something. Or it's too expensive to even try.
It's because you guys have not seen Velocipaster.
I have.
You've seen it, MauLer?
Yeah.
Velocipaster, classic.
The special effects are incredible.
Yeah. See, there you go.
I've seen Carnosaur.
Carnosaur. I'm in Carnosaur. The Roger.
You
Corman
are?
movie. Yeah, I'm in it. I had a big.
What are you?
I'm just a
He's the
guy
dinosaur.
who worked on it.
How did you end up being in Carnosaur?
Because I was on the set of the Fantastic Four movie, and I knew Roger Corman at the time. I just wanted to hang out. I literally wanted to hang out. They said, "Well, you got to do this little bit part." I put a dinosaur cage in a truck. That's all I did.
That is actually really cool.
Yeah.
I like that as well. Like his attitude, like, "Oh, you want to hang out? Well, you got to be in my fucking movie."
Oh, he was so. The guy who did craft services got fired because he bought branded soda, not no brand.
Yeah,
you know, like he actually bought Coke.
Corman was cheap, wasn't he?
Yeah, So, but yeah, I like Corman. I like Velocipaster.
I like some of Roger Corman's movies. I like Battle Beyond the Stars. I think that's hugely entertaining.
It's a classic, and of course Zack Snyder ripped that off to make Rebel Moon.
Yeah,
basically.
I mean, it is just the Magnificent Seven in space, but like, yeah. Chelsea M says, "Hail Drinker, had an awesome time at the meetup, and it was so nice to meet you. Looking forward to your expertise on American football going forward." Yeah, man, I had a blast at Jeremy's house on Super Bowl night. I totally knew what was going on, and I was definitely with it. Definitely wasn't just there to drink beer. I showed up with like a 6-pack, and I was just like, "Yeah, I'm here for this, man." But no, it was good fun. Cannon Folderall, Drinker, Gene Hackman, Steve McQueen, Clint Eastwood, and Sir Sean Connery, all born 1930. Proof that hard times create strong men. Cheers. Is that true? They were all born 1930.
Didn't know. Huh?
Might be, yeah. Gene Hackman is like 95 years old at this point, so yeah, it probably is true. Damn.
He's one of those guys. Wasn't it like Runaway Jury was the last role he had, and it's kind of like, oh,
I thought it was Enemy of the. I thought it was Enemy of the State, wasn't it?
No, it was Behind Enemy Lines. That was like 2002, 2003.
No, Behind Enemy Lines wasn't the last one. I'm pretty sure it was Runaway
Are you
Jury.
sure, MauLer?
Which is when he played a president.
Hold on. So Gene Hackman.
His last film was
Welcome to Mooseport.
Mooseport, yeah.
That's his last film.
Wasn't the one he played a president? Yeah, that was the one he played a president.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Monroe Cole, apparently.
Oh, we were both close though, Drinker.
Well, technically 2006 was his last role when it was Superman 2, The Donner Cut, where they used archive footage of him as Lex Luthor. But, yeah. 2004, Welcome to Mooseport was his last, like, current day role.
I just remember finding out that he'd, like, retired, and I was like, fuck.
It's horrible. I love his movies.
I mean, the thing is, he's still around. He's just retired. Like, you know, I don't want to see him do more movies or anything, but it's just like, man, he is still kicking it. Like, 95 years old. That's impressive.
What I'm getting at is just he was always a powerhouse no matter what film he was in. So it's just,
yes.
I loved him in Crimson Tide, French Connection.
Unforgiven.
Yeah.
Unforgiven, Royal Tenenbaums.
Yeah.
Everything he did, everything the man did.
Quick and the Dead. Anyone see that?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
It's a cool movie.
Crimson Tide. Loved him in that.
It was great.
Oh, yeah, and Unforgiven, obviously, yeah. Stuck in a Bucket says, Drinker, your take over dinosaur skeletons last week was stupid. Seeing pictures of ancient wonders never compares to the awe of seeing it in person. It got me so mad that I paid $10 to complain about it. Well, you know what? I'm going to take your $10 and say no.
No.
I just made you go away now. That's the power that I have over this stream.
My God.
Pie Guy says, watching the EFAP on Falcon show in prep for seeing Captain American 4. Franco, Molly, and Drinker are here. What's the difference between a wizard and a witch?
Oh, I think that was a thing we talked about in Falcon and Winter Soldier, right? For
because they did sorcerers, wizards, and magicians.
Androids. The androids, aliens, and wizards was the thing that he said, and then we were trying to figure out, what's the difference between like a wizard and a witch? Well, and I can't remember what we concluded.
Don't they have the same like sort of power? Well, the same
male,
pool of abilities, but like they're just
version,
literally male and female.
Male vision of witch is supposed to be warlock.
Warlock. I think the conclusion we drew was that a witch or a warlock has innate abilities, whereas a wizard is somebody who can just accrue that. Like, you imagine it as being magic as like something that exists in the world, and a wizard is somebody who learns how to tap into it compared to having an innate ability to do so. I think that's what we concluded.
Ultimately, though, it's up to the writer.
Yeah, but basically, but it doesn't really matter.
Well, I was going to say, what in the MCU, what's the difference between magic and sorcery?
No, fuck
I don't think there's. I don't know.
I've opened another can of worms here.
I don't know. I think we're to conclude that anybody could get good at the kind of stuff that they learn at Kamatage. Like, anybody could use the sling ring. Meanwhile, like, only one can do the shit she can do, I think. But I don't know.
That's fair. I like this one, Master of Puppets. The only thing I remember from Jurassic World is a very fit Bryce Dallas Howard outrunning a T-Rex in heels and the drawn-out over-the-top death of the assistant lady. Other than that, I've got nothing. I think you've got the highlights of the movie right there. Bryce Dallas Howard was fucking fit in that film. That's why it's so disappointing to see what she became. Anyway, never mind.
She self-actualized.
Sure. Yeah. Good on her. Bisected Tuscan Raider Child says, also, Sam doesn't even mention Riley when New Falcon almost dies. He says it reminds him of fucking Steve. Also, Congressman Bucky. What the fuck?
Setting up for Thunderbolt.
Yeah, that's right. He's running for Congress.
Are you shitting me?
Yeah, he is running for Congress.
Did I miss that part of the movie? I guess
Wow.
I
You
might.
must
No.
have.
It was a
I think
throwaway
I-
line.
I think my audio wasn't great at that point. I don't know.
Well, so it's a little like trick of a joke. She sees him and goes, "Oh my god!" And we were all expecting her to say that's the Winter Soldier, and then she says, "This is Congressman fucking Barnes or whatever." And it's like, wait, what?
Wow. Okay.
So he's going to become a congressman. Bryce Dallas Howard is going to do G20, the sequel.
Mr. Blaze says, "Make WMS. They Hate Men Part 2, you coward." What's WMS?
Wums.
Women's 2. Women's 2?
Women's 2.
Sure, let's go with that. The masterpiece. Why do Americans and Europeans have to follow the diversity, equity, and inclusion rules when we make up less than 10% of the world population? I don't know. We just control the culture, I guess. It's part of it. Don't ask me to try and make sense of this
Stop
nonsense.
controlling culture.
I know. Miss Cheese. Nice pull slammed because of lively drama is hilarious. Did you see that, actually? So nice
I've
pull.
heard about it. Yeah, isn't there like a big legal fight between what's the guy who directed that movie?
Justin Baldoni.
Yeah. That is apparently just kind of wacky and insane.
I honestly, like, the more I learned about this, the more I'm like, oh my god, this is like the most petty fucking juvenile thing I've ever seen. But I think it might actually be true. I think
that Nice Pool was actually making fun of that guy.
I think maybe it was. Because Ryan Reynolds apparently was super fucking pissed at this dude when he came on set and berated him in front of like most of the cast and crew and reduced him to tears because he's obviously a very powerful guy in Hollywood and his wife, from his perspective, was being insulted, and so he was not going to take that. That is apparently what happened. I don't know if it's 100% true, but like there is apparently multiple people that have confirmed this is what happened. So I don't know. But anyway, now the CIA finds Disney not US AIDS. Okay. Eurodoc. Oh no, how will I be protected against Dumbos when I see an elephant fly without a content warning? I know, right? Like it's hard. It's hard being a modern viewer. Next one, Brian Crawford. Drinker, my ancestors were chased out of Scotland in the early 1800s for stealing hen eggs. Thoughts on Alien Earth on Hulu later this year, folks. I bet it's woke as shit. That was quite the switch in that conversation right there. I don't know what to make of that, but yeah, let's put the egg stealing out of the equation for now and say, what is your guys' thoughts on Alien Earth on Hulu?
I hate it. I hate that it even exists. It's going to be bad. And why a prequel series where the alien was on Earth before Alien? The fuck are we doing?
Yeah, I don't get that. I don't get it at all.
Yeah,
I hate the fact that Disney owns the rights to Alien now.
Well, and there's 2 Predator movies coming out this year as well, right?
Well, yeah, they've got the rights to some of our favorite franchises. Well, it's like they've had that for a long time.
Man, people celebrate the fuck out of Romulus to Hell and Back. We're going to be getting that on steroids in like 2 years.
I'm going to say fuck Romulus and fuck Prey. Both shit movies, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise.
Prey is better than Romulus, but
it's better than Romulus, but not much.
No, bullshit. It's way better. It's got like an actual story and characters in it. Romulus is pathetic.
It's got weak characters in it.
Yeah, Romulus has no characters in it.
Yeah, that's true.
It's got Rain and the bird in the cage.
Yeah, that is fuel for 1,000 memes right there. Adam James says, speaking of Falcon and the Message, I'll never forget that in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, there's a scene where Isaiah and Falcon get mad that the first Captain America could have been black after hearing Isaiah's backstory. Yep, that was a lovely bit of retconning right there. Super.
Yeah,
That's
I
all it
hate
was.
everything to do with the Isaiah stuff. It's pathetic in the TV show. It's just stapled on as storytelling. There's nothing in it that matches anything we knew before. And then they're like, yeah, but you wouldn't know because the government hid it. And you're like, uh-huh. We've known like all of the government's secrets. Do you not remember that? They got like dumped by Black Widow.
Right.
Yeah. And last one for the night says, here's a $10 contribution from USAID. That's probably going to get rejected now because Doge have shut it down. But you know. Anyway, thank you, man. I appreciate that. And I will say thank you for everyone who's jumped in for this tonight. It's been awesome to have everyone on. Thank you to my incredible panel as always, you guys. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for
thank
the
you, thank you, George,
Thanks for
Fringy,
having us on.
Niet, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Cool.
And yeah, for everyone who sent us these super chats for the ones that we haven't quite got around to answering tonight, we will of course do a catch up stream where we'll get all of them. And my mods as well. Thank you for keeping the peace in chat and keeping everything ticking over. Very much appreciate you guys. But for today, that is all we've got. So we're going to go away now.
See you later, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.